Okay, either way, we're live.
Yeah. Okay.
And let's check it out. Just so people can. So there's a link. I just put this in the comment section. And then people can copy and paste that.
All right.
Well, that's the idea. There we go. It's come up. So yeah, so the buddy whose house it was, he was. Cheers, by the way. First of all.
Cheers.
Good to see you, bro.
And you too.
What a joy. Thanks for pulling in. First in studio. You're my first.
Tony. Yo.
Yes,
I feel privileged and honored.
Shot likewise.
In the castle.
What a joy.
Mm.
So we were wondering what kind of stuff he got up to over here, but as I said, he used to build oboes in here, and he told me a story. I forget where he's staying now in Turkey, but he always checks in with me, and I've sent him photos of the whole refurb that I did, posted them out to him, and he's like, "Oh, thank you." I think he's like Istanbul. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's somewhere. And he's like, "Thank you so much for honoring the space as a music space still." And
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was very stoked.
Epic.
Let's make sure the beard is all good, yeah?
Where's your oil?
Oh, we're live. Oh, no, the oil's upstairs. Speaking of oil.
Yeah.
And all right, let's see if we have anyone. We've got a few watchers already. Good evening, everybody. How are you? Just check out that first link that I put in the comment section. What you do is you copy and paste it, and then you put it into a Chrome browser, either from your phone, preferably, actually, because that FaceTime camera is the best, or into a normal Chrome browser. But my mate, Tony Budden, in the house. Say how's it to the people. First in-studio guest. Thank you, my boy.
It's so good to be here. I love what you've done.
Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty rad.
Yeah, feels pretty damn authentic. Having a little scotch in a Scottish-style castle.
Right. You know, that's all we got to do.
Yeah.
Yes, hey, we got our first commenter. Hello. I have to put it on screen anymore because you actually are here to see that.
Hey, Cameron.
Cameron, how's it? Is this COVID? What do you guys think? Is this COVID safety enough? Look at this. It's like 3 arms length.
Your arm, maybe. My arm.
Yeah, yours
my arm, probably about 2.
Andre Krovela. Okay, so.
Hey, Andre, how's it?
Yeah, Clayton, there's a legend. Thank you very much to Clayton. He sponsors Tim's Oil. He's my primary school friend.
Yeah.
One of my oldest friends in the world. And now is Pro Oil SA, and then one of the biggest marine lubricants. Just give a quick punt, but mainly it's because he sponsors the Impossible Machine. So
beautiful.
Maybe my primary schoolmate ends up being my oil sponsor.
Cape Town's like that. It's who you know. It's bringing your friends and family very close.
100%, bro.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
So, bro, I haven't played anything, as you know.
Yeah.
As you saw. As you saw me plugging in cables going here and there. But the point is, that is the point. It's like, I don't want to say.
It's all come together.
In 1998, you got the land rights to. You can first of all tell us.
Okay.
And then let me clear the air. Co-owner of Emporium.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so Charlie Parker, as some would know him, Duncan Parker, is my partner in Emporium. And actually say that we visited some youngsters, the next generation are coming in, and it's so great. Like we've been pioneers for so long in the industry. We started Emporium 1996, so 25th year this year.
Wow.
And
that's when Just Ginger started. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, really?
We also had 25th year, bro.
Legends.
Check it, Dad. It's meant to be.
It was a good year.
It was good vintage.
Was the summer of 96 is like the summer of 69, like it was definitely had a very beautiful energy. Like Cape Town in 1995, we'd won the World Cup. Like it was just this influx of new energy, new horizons, and we saw the gap with hemp at that stage. Started out with a friend of ours. Father was one of the original partners in Emporium, who imports fabric, and put a bit of hemp fabric in our hands and said, look what the Chinese are doing with cannabis.
Yes.
And liking the plants. We were students at the time. We were like, wow, like it really, like once you touched and felt another use for the plant besides smoke, it really like broadened our horizon to what the plant can do. And we're like, why doesn't everyone know about this? We all just taught that this is the evil weed. Yeah. The devil's lettuce, whatever. You're like, don't go near it. And here is a real use.
Yeah.
Like the word canvas comes from the word cannabis. The Afrikaans word for shirt is hemp. Like all of this history that we discovered. And Charlie was he was doing IT honors. So he was on those early bulletin boards before there even was really an internet.
Yeah.
And obviously, like conspiracies and cannabis made its way on there. You know, the
Yeah.
IT guys that were on it, and
Yeah.
we quickly learned more and formed Emporium around, let's show people what this plant can do. You know, and we set ourselves a lofty goal of let's showcase everything that the plant can do.
Yeah.
And quickly we were in fashion, food, body care,
Yeah.
you know, like got into construction. I live in the first hemp house in Africa, and got eventually into the CBD space.
Where's it hemp house? It's in Noordhoek,
In
eh?
Noordhoek, exactly, yeah.
And who stays there?
Myself.
Is
I've
that
been
your
there
posse?
nearly like 10 years now, and
Why have I not
don't
seen
think
that?
I want. Well, I mean, likewise, I don't.
Exactly.
Fucking
It's
castle.
taking
It's
this long to see
ridiculous.
the castle. Yeah, all good.
Yeah, so that journey of expansion of our minds, and then being able to communicate that outwards, like saying, okay, hold on, here's something we found. We believe it's a real solution.
Yeah.
We think it's going to do really well. We knew it would do really well in South Africa.
Yeah.
But like trying to start from the beginning, like getting people, winning over hearts and minds. Like saying, you've been told one thing around the plant, and originally, obviously, our main market was the people who liked weed.
Yeah.
There was a wear what you smoke market.
Of
Hey, I
course.
want to wear it. I love the
Of course.
plant. And then over time, it's morphed a lot into people who really believe in it for its environmental friendly
And medicinal.
side. And
Can I do
medicinal.
this? Hold on. Oh,
Yeah, there we go.
right.
Get
My
comfortable.
grandfather's chair. I'm getting in here. Bro. This is legit. Come in. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Sorry. Carry on.
Yeah, like so we've seen a much broader audience of people not just liking it because they smoke it, but people who appreciate it for its environmentally friendly attributes, who
Yeah,
appreciate
usages,
it
yeah.
for the medicinal side, obviously, as you said, and it's now through a massive education campaign, and I will, like Emporium should take a lot of credit for that,
Yeah.
and specifically Charlie, he's supported Emporium through its growing pains, supported me, giving me the ability to go and learn, and then through, we had a tagline: innovate, educate, cultivate.
Yeah.
Innovate
Yeah.
through the products, educate. Like we were at Rocking
Listen.
the Daisies all
Yeah.
those years, banging away at like Grahamstown, endless interviews, and just giving away the knowledge.
Yeah.
Like at that stage, free talks, free interviews, like nothing, like just creating that awareness, and then cultivate. Eventually, we got the permission to do research, and
Yeah.
for 5 years, we've grown under a research trial.
Right.
But like research started in South Africa in 1995, I think, or 4. And that's why we started Emporium. We thought the government was going to wake up. Like
Right.
they're doing research already.
And that's how long it took.
We'll start on imported
Oh.
products. So we were getting the textiles from the East, from China. We were getting our building materials from Europe. We were getting oils from Canada to make the cosmetics with. We're getting seeds, seed products mostly from Germany. CBD came from the States. We thought, okay, we'll start Emporium. We'll import for now, but then we'll be able to support Eastern Cape farmers or
Yeah.
like Free State farmers, and we'll get
Yeah.
it locally because the government's going to wake up. But it's taken 25 years of hammering away
Oh.
to finally get to a point where we think they're going to wake up this year. But I stopped holding my breath a long
So
time
when
ago.
you say hold up, what is the hold up still?
So changing laws is a lot harder than making new laws.
Right.
And our main
Has it not
law
been written
in
in
South
yet?
Africa is the Drugs and Drug Trafficking Act. And I can tell you a story. I will tell a little bit of it, but it's a shortened version.
Okay.
Because you maybe just go, if you're interested, there's an article. I think you can, if you Google getting high off Dagga products
Yeah.
or getting high off Dagga profits. It's from 1998, written by
Let me check here quickly.
Ferial Haffiji, who is now, I think,
Okay.
the editor. She was of Mail and Guardian. I think she's now with Daily Maverick.
Yeah.
It's a story of how the South African chemists, the same guys who were doing, like our good friend Dr. Dr. Death Photobason,
Yes.
all these guys, I think it was a company called Prochem,
Here we go.
they were
98.
making a product called dronabinol from South African cannabis. They developed an extract of THC that basically they were selling into the AIDS market because it gave you the munchies. And one of the things with AIDS is it stops you feeling hungry.
Yes.
So all of a sudden they had a product that was made from cannabis. They sold this into the States. By the time the product came back here, the tablets, they were costing dollars a piece. So no one in South Africa could afford to take this. And at that time, when they had the patent on this, they were making a fortune off South African cannabis, we grew more in those last few years of apartheid than the whole of Central America, whole of South America combined. And it was all being sold, all being extracted here. And they made the law that was mandatory. Anyone caught in South Africa with cannabis was going to go to jail. Anyone, whether you're a grower, a user, whatever, it was mandatory jail sentence.
Was there a legal amount or any
anything.
amount? Any
so
amount.
Our law, if you read our Drugs and Drug Trafficking Act, it says cannabis, the whole plant, any product thereof, any portion thereof, is an undesirable dependence-producing substance, except dronabinol, which was the substance they were making. They banned the plant. They banned everything to do with the plant. Anyone who worked with the plant was criminalized. Okay, so except what they were making a fortune with. And then in 1995, when the government changed, they sold the rights, the patents offshore. So dronabinol now, people understand it to be a synthetic extract, but originally it was a organic extract from South African cannabis.
No way.
So read that article. I don't know if you can.
I've already put the link on.
There we go.
In our comment section. So check that out, guys.
So that law still stands in our Drugs and Drug Trafficking Act, that the plant, any part of it, any portion thereof. Yeah. So my house is illegal if we look at the Drugs and Drug Trafficking Act.
Right.
My surfboards, I ride hemp surfboards, are illegal. A lot of my clothing, any hemp product.
So technically illegal.
So what happened then? It moved into the Medicines Act, where they started saying, okay, well, dronabinol, if you're using it for cancer and that kind of thing, is legal. Then we won the right in the Concord for people to grow and use the plant privately.
When is that? How long ago is that now?
2017, I think.
That recent?
Yeah.
It feels like longer ago.
Well, the journey started longer. So that's the Fields of Green for All and the Ducker couple, Jules and a dearly departed friend of ours who was one half of the Ducker couple.
Yeah.
And Myrtle, fought hard in that. Gareth Prince, he originally took it to the Concord in 2003 or 4, and he was on the Rasta rights. Rastas should have the right. Religious freedom is enshrined in our Constitution. And he unfortunately lost at that stage because the judges said, well, we can't only give a right to the Rastas. If you had asked for everyone, we probably would have given it to you. But you only asked for the Rastas, and that would be unconstitutional to give some members of our society a right.
I see, yeah.
And Jeremy Acton from the Ducker Party. But anyway, they all combined. I was an expert witness in the case in the Cape High Court, and there was a Gauteng High Court. The Ducker couple were fighting, and that merged into this constitutional court ruling. And the ruling was on the right to privacy. So us as adults, we should have the right in our private space to be able to grow and consume cannabis when it's been proven not to be any more dangerous than things that are otherwise legal, alcohol, tobacco.
Yeah.
So and many other things that we do. I mean, I surf big waves. It's very dangerous.
It's your right. Yeah, exactly.
People get to ride bicycles on our roads. It's flipping dangerous.
Going for a picnic in some of our local parks.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite risky.
But what's the main problem with that is that right to privacy came with a few clauses from the Constitutional Court judges that said you had to grow it in a private space, so a garden that's private, and you had to consume it if you're going to consume it with only consenting adults and no children around. Okay. No children allowed in the garden as well. So you think what percent of our population has a garden that can be considered private, that no one can see into?
Yeah.
And a space that no other adults access who don't like it. So you can't live with your parents or your grandparents or whatever. You can't have children around you when you're smoking. So maybe 1%.
Sure,
maybe.
That's a very small.
The rest, when they published the draft bill last year, the rest of the people are still going to get more, like the penalties are actually harsher than prohibition was. If you can get 2 years, 6 years, or 15 years. Yeah. For 2 years, if you get caught selling or growing more than the allotted, I think it's 8 plants per household or 6 plants per individual.
Currently?
No, that's what they're presenting that will happen. So the bill hasn't been adopted yet. There was a lot of public comment, obviously.
Yeah.
If you get caught with your child in your garden helping you tend to your garden, you can get up to 6 years.
Whoa.
If you get caught giving to your kid who's got cancer, you can get up to 15 years.
What?
Yeah, so they've given us a right that's very limited in who can actually use it. And then everyone else is still criminalized. So if you live in a township and you don't have a garden, and you still buy weed, you're
Here's our boy,
criminalized.
Jack Mantis. Sorry, check out. Hello, Jackie. Hey,
My
brother.
brew. I was just asking after you. I believe you up there in the mountains.
We're talking about you in
Yes.
central tones.
Yes, we love you, boy.
Love you, Jack Mantis.
Yeah, so
Bro, that's crazy. So we actually not even as far as we thought we were.
We've won the, I would say the battle on one level of, the judges said it's our right as adults, but the you can't give a right that is not accessible to the average person in South Africa.
So it was a super limited right, as you've just explained.
So what we're pushing for is a lot more openness on, we need cannabis social clubs. Yes. We need a space where people who might live with their grandparents on the property
or to go out and
enjoy it in a safe place with other consenting adults.
Yeah.
Also, the medical way, what they did in the medicine is they moved cannabis out of Schedule 7, which is like heroin, and moved it to Schedule 6 for THC, which means you have to be pretty much half dead. It's a 1-month prescription from a specialist, like a psychiatrist or an oncologist.
Yeah.
You have to keep getting those prescriptions, and it's only if you've tried to use a whole lot of other things and they haven't worked. So that, again, like if you want to use it for sleep or back pain or something, you can't get it. You can't get a Schedule 6 substance. CBD was moved to Schedule 4, and we had to sue them basically to get it to say, well, CBD is non-psychoactive, non-addictive, you're non-toxic. Why are you putting it in Schedule 4 where you still have to go to a doctor to get a prescription? So then they gave us an exemption for low doses of CBD that you can now buy year-round. But if you want a high dose for your kid who's got seizures, it's still a prescription drug. And we don't have... The only 2 drugs that would be available in South Africa come at a cost of between 15 and 30,000 rand a month.
Is that where
for
we're
CBD
at
products, that are that high dose, above 20 milligrams a day or 600 milligrams a month.
And then is some of it it's quite diluted, right? It's like parts per, and then they dilute it with
so most of the products,
stuff
unfortunately, and I'll give a bit of advice here. If you are using CBD, make sure the companies that you use have COAs, certificates of analysis, and it is properly tested.
Yes.
Because
COAs,
we have done
some guys.
COAs, and we have done some tests, and some of the products that say they're 300 milligrams or like 150. And this is again another thing, because we have to import.
Yeah.
This little bottle of CBD is costing 750, 1,000 rand a month. How many people in South Africa can afford that?
Yeah.
That should cost, if we were growing here and producing here, 200 to 250 rand easily, and everyone's making money to sell it at that price.
Yeah.
That's like the price of a bottle of multivitamins.
Yeah. 100%.
You and I can afford that, and what's happening now is people buy it at 1,000 rand. They might use it 1 month, 2 months, and then they go, well, look, like I'm kind of feeling something. I'm not ready, but I can't afford 1,000 rand a month on something that essentially at that low dose is your borderline therapeutic. Like it's they're
right,
limiting
so you're saying
us
it's not effective enough if the dosage isn't higher than
20 milligrams a day is like really almost non-therapeutic.
Really,
there is value in it, but it's not going to, if you're using it for proper medicine, it's a supplement.
So I don't know if I told you my story with it, and I apologize if I'm repeating, because I did have Dr. Weed on recently as well, and I just told him a quick story. The reason, so 2 things, like my friends know, is that weirdly, I think I'm allergic to THC.
Yes. Sadly,
but I had dreadlocks my whole career.
Yeah.
People thought legit I was a dealer, and you can't blame them. It's like you literally can't blame them. I couldn't roll a joint. If someone came down and put a gun to our head and said, Art Matthews, roll a joint for Tony Budden, we're dying tonight.
I know that's because you only smoke pipes.
I wish. From the bluff with a bottle.
Yeah, exactly. Old school.
No, so I really am not a big weed head.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm interested in it is because this one, I think it's the most innocent thing. Like I definitely do. I think we've had such a stigma. I was sharing earlier how Arno, like when he was first seen smoking a joint on camera, I was like, where does that come from? What kind of oppression are we having to get in our older age now?
Yeah.
As rock stars, still feeling nervous about that. It shows you the indoctrination,
Absolutely.
Of how long. So my point is that I had an ex-girlfriend of mine's father had prostate cancer, and I lost my dad to prostate a while ago, like 13 years ago. So it hit a bit of a nerve with me, and he's this Durban legend. And he's like an old smoker, but he's super successful. So he's an absolute legend.
Yeah.
And I said to him, Budgie, I said, Budge, you got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
He was about to go in for radiation, right?
Yeah.
I said, Brew, come. I just know about this. I knew you. I think you introduced me to someone.
Yeah.
And I said, will you just trust me? You got tons of money. I said,
Yeah.
what do you got to lose? It's like, it's nothing. I'll put you on a course. I think
Yeah.
it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't for that, for your life. It's
Yeah.
nothing. Bro, I put him on these Delta 9 suppositories.
Yeah.
He was more goofed than he's ever been in his life. And for him to tell me that,
Yeah.
you must know he was,
Yeah.
long story short, bro, could not find traces of cancer in his cancer count, gone.
Yeah.
So, like, my story is that not I didn't heal, but I was instrumental.
Yeah.
We healed someone from prostate cancer
Yeah.
using weed. So I'm a massive like proponent and endorsee of it, as much as I can't smoke it. And we'll
Yeah.
talk about the THC
Well,
CBD.
I did watch that. I brought along a little something from my
Right.
garden last year. So this
What?
here is a bud of.
Oh, stop.
This is. Okay,
Yeah. Get it right up there.
where we?
Okay,
there we go.
Good. It's not
Are
focusing.
we getting it
Come
focusing?
On, iPhone. Do your thing.
So
There we
this
go.
looks like, like your average bud of weed,
Yeah.
and it's been.
Smells like it.
Yeah, it is. There's non-detectable THC in there.
How did you get that right?
So breeding. I mean, the guys
Really?
who've been breeding. So I'll tell you a little bit of story. This is for you.
Bro,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
So you can finally
can you
try.
roll me? Can you roll me one of
Yeah.
these? Okay, because I definitely can't. I think I got. Is that papers as well?
Yeah, I put some papers in
you're
there.
Such a sweetheart. I
Yeah.
also got from a cool company called One Love. They gave me the coolest. I do have here as well. But really, that'll be sick. I'd love
Yeah.
to. And
So
would it help
basically-
me dose?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Okay.
that's about 12-13% CBD
Okay.
and non-detectable THC.
No way.
So it's kind of blowing up around the world at the moment, what's called smokable hemp.
Yeah.
And not everyone loves high THC. And if you look at, there are obviously the people who fought for this
Yeah.
love it. And they are the mavericks and the
Yeah, of course,
counterculture
but those are
guys.
actually hitting like 40 milligram in.
Yeah.
What's the percentage now? Or
No, like I've
40%
seen in Colorado like 100 milligram sweets. You're like,
Oh,
that would break
dude,
me
I'll be
into
dead.
multiple pieces.
If you say
You're
that
like-
2 more times,
Yeah.
I will just curl into a ball in the corner over there.
So you look at the characters who fought and broke it open. They love the plant and they use it every day. And they smoke and their tolerance is high. Like if you're drinking every day, you can
Oh,
drink,
dude.
like multiple beers.
If I have 1 milligram THC,
Yeah.
I'm out. bro.
and you're
It's exactly that, yeah.
absolutely fine. It's the
Yeah.
same kind of, you can't use direct analogy, but we can use the analogy
Yeah.
of so same as that would happen with alcohol prohibition. You guys went from drinking beer to drinking moonshine.
Yeah.
Like from 6-7% or 5% to like 70-80%.
Yeah.
With cannabis, the same thing happened. With prohibition, potency became your marker of quality.
Right.
How strong it was,
Yes.
how much you can sell it for, because it's a small little 1 gram that you're now selling at 150 Rand a gram because it's like 20-30% THC. Post-prohibition, it becomes about choice.
Yes.
And not everyone will choose the strongest thing every
No,
time. We don't go to the bar every time and choose a tequila or straw rum.
Yeah, exactly.
Like most of the time you want a beer or a glass of wine and you want multiple of them a night.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have a joint of the super strong, most people will have a drag or
freak
two
out so badly.
and they're done. Where with the lower amounts, a lot of people do enjoy, and I know it's probably for health.
Greg Bratty's saying in. So yeah.
How's he
Hello,
watching?
Borche. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
These
no,
things
it's
are-
always great.
Yeah.
Lovely to know that these legends
These
are watching
actually
us.
listening. We've got such
listening.
cool comments. Let's do a quick comment. Sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't
go for it.
interrupt you, but check out. Angie SL says, dropped heavy, scheduled painkillers and sleeping tabs. Shoulder issue, switch nightly dose of edibles. Yeah, best
There we
decision
go.
ever.
There we go.
So-
I mean, it's for me. It started. One of the first people that I made for was my gran, who had been a sleeping tablet addict for, I think, around 30 years,
Wow,
from her
dude.
50s, and I started in her 80s, and I made some chocolate.
Whoa.
And I just, like,
I
made
need to
it
talk
an
to you about that
extract,
then, dude.
made it in chocolate, and I gave it to her. And she would take half a block before she went to bed. No, like, it would just put her to sleep.
And CBD mainly?
No, it was a blend,
okay,
like a
yeah.
1-to-1 blend. But she came off her sleeping tablets after 30 years
No
of
ways.
not being able to sleep on
No
it.
way.
And like
Go
that.
gran.
That was
Go
it. Like
grandma.
that was for me. Okay, hold on. Here's an alternative.
Yeah.
It's not. Like a. I wouldn't. For me, I don't believe it is the cure. I believe it helps you cure yourself.
Yes.
So if you look at the way cannabis works, and if you smoke it and you haven't smoked that much, but you probably would have got really thirsty.
Yes, and super hungry.
Super hungry.
Yeah.
And you're like, often if you're in a room full of intense energies, you get like, fuck, I want to get out of here. This is intense. There's too many people. There's too much noises.
It's just me and Jeff. That's what happens.
Yeah. So what that is the cannabinoids help your brain get what's a postsynaptic feedback system. It stimulates that. So it helps your brain, your synapses fire, they send messages to your body.
Yeah.
But then there's a feedback system of getting messages back to your brain. And it activates that. So chances are you weren't made thirsty, by the way. It's telling you, hold on. You
were thirsty.
You haven't drunk any water for the last 4 or 5 hours. Go get some water.
So it's actually not druggies. You are proper dehydrated.
We are dehydrated most of the time in modern living. We don't drink enough water.
Correct. I've heard that. Most people, a lot of fitness people say that as soon as you feel the need to drink water, you're actually too late. You're completely dehydrated.
Then if you're in a room of fully intense energies and your senses are heightened, you're actually feeling all of these energies, chances are your body's saying, look, I'm not that comfortable here. It's loud, it's noisy. I want to get out. I want to get some fresh air.
Yeah.
For me, when I smoke, the first thing I get is like, Tony, sit up straight, pull your shoulders back and take some deep breaths.
Okay.
Because those are real things that I need to do. My brain's telling me that all the time.
Cramping,
So that feedback system is being heightened. So if you're sick, if you got cancer in your prostate, which hides very well, you don't know it's there. There's no pain.
Oh, shit.
It's brewing there for a long time. The chances of your brain seeing that and then activating your own healing.
Yes.
Not from the medicine, not from cannabis doing like clinical work, the molecule. There are parts of it where it can create what's called apoptosis, where the cancer actually dies. Because cancers are generally our own cells that don't die.
Yes.
They become mutant. They just fucking chow everything and create tumors and everything.
Oh, here we go. We've got a guest of honor.
Hello.
Our second studio guest, apart from Teddy on the couch.
We got a teddy bear over there.
Probably freaking many people out. But Jeffy, if you're going to... look at that. Perfectly into shots. Jeff, you are so well trained. If you could lie right there, say hello. Everyone, this is Jeff. Jeff, say hello. Who's that? Who's the people on the TV?
Here we go.
He's like, are you guys drinking? Are you guys drinking again?
Hello,
look at my boy.
But yeah, so
dress on set quickly. Hold
on, there we go, my Bercy.
Bro, that's wild, Bruce. So
it's actually not only the cannabis. People go, how does this stuff work for so many people? You saying it's a miracle plant. It's autism, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, pain, cancer, nausea, whatever. And it's like it must be like a exaggeration. There's no one thing that can do that. But if it is helping your brain get better messages from your body, no matter what you're fighting, there will be a response from your own immune system.
Right.
Your dopamine, your endorphins, all your own hormones.
It'll throw your own into gear.
So it shifts the way we've dealt with these things. Up to now, recently, we've dealt with it with morphine.
Correct.
You kill the pain.
Just a killer,
like it's great. Morphine's great. If I'm in acute pain, I'll
100%.
be like there.
I totally agree.
You are also cutting off a lot of the messages that tell your brain there's a problem.
Shit.
So the pain is gone, but the healing slows down. So if you've got like a post-op knee pain, and you take your morphine, chances are you're going to go walk on that thing before it's ready, before it's healed. You're going to put some more stress on it. You are not going to focus on keeping it still.
Yeah.
If you're doing cannabis, the chances are you're going to feel that pain.
It'll exacerbate it a bit.
You are going to activate your own painkillers, so there will be a pain relief, because I always wondered that, because I know when I use cannabis, it's heightened certain experiences and pain and that. And I thought, how does that work? But eventually, because it's heightening, those messages are getting through your brain will activate its own painkillers.
Yes,
we can produce opiate-similar compounds in our body.
Right, to morphine. With that. Well, not quite as strong, but I hear you.
So it's just changing the way, instead of desensitizing ourselves,
it's
sensitizing
ourselves. Hypersensitizing,
which is a shift again from modern medicine, which is numb. So you see someone who's got cancer and they go onto morphine. Pretty much the beginning of the end.
100%. My brother passed like that. I watched the whole switch.
Cotton wool life. You're not interested in your family.
For sure.
So I've spoken to a lot of palliative care doctors who've worked with cannabis, and they say one of the best gifts doesn't save everyone. But it gives them quality of life in those last few months where they
Yeah.
got a sense of humor.
Yeah.
They're sleeping better.
Yeah.
They're eating better.
Appetites. Yeah.
They want to see their family.
Yeah.
They want to engage.
Yeah.
They want to be, like alive still.
Yeah.
And that is half the fight.
Dude, that's everything. All you want is just that last bit of quality of life, bro.
And another great man, Dr. Donald Abrams, who's been working with it, first of all with HIV, and then he became an oncologist in California. And he said, with these patients, he also gives them seeds and says, go grow your own medicine. And he says, like that
sense of
just putting your energy into life instead of lying there thinking about dying.
So just being around life giving instead of.
And you want to be there to harvest your medicine.
Of course.
Wait 4 or 5 months. You're like, and you're focusing on life and growing and everything. So you're like, just that is a beautiful thing to say. Okay, let's change the way we work with dying and palliative care to focus on still wanting to embrace life instead of thinking about death all the time, and not. Even though pain, obviously, I'm not going to discount or discredit the benefits of morphine for killing pain, because pain can also make you want to die. But that for not everyone has that intense pain, but rather sensitizing people to their bodies, to their environment, is a gift in itself. Even if it's not curing cancer, if it's making people sleep better, eat better, feel better, not be nauseous, have a sense of humor.
No, bro, it's insane. It's a miracle plant. So the fact in my super limited knowledge, bro, and I'll self-confess from the fact that I promise you, as much as I have this gift, I'm going to need like mates to come help me roll it.
I'll make it before the night is out.
Please make me a good one.
Yeah.
Because I'm definitely going to rock it tonight.
Yeah.
So I've been toying with like drops from different producers and stuff like that. And I do believe it's not always a given to me. It's not like a definite thing that CBD helps me. So I've got sleep issues for sure, especially during the pandemic. First time in my life I've had to deal. But you know me, I'm happy-go-lucky, laughing when I shouldn't sometimes.
There's mass stress and anxiety that we're all tapping into as a human species.
Yeah, bro, hugely. Bro. So for the first time in my life, I've had to deal with some anxiety.
Yeah.
And I literally regarded myself as bulletproof, almost judgingly to others. I was like, I don't even believe in depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
I now do. I don't. Oh, the depression thing is going to be a great segue to our talking about the next thing we're going to talk about, which I'm not going to let you forget about because I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
So hang in here, guys. Don't get anywhere. We've got a good one coming up. I'm now so excited to talk about. What was I saying? In my limited knowledge, I just know the medicinal values of it.
Let me explain with this. So basically, this is about 12%. If you smoke a joint of that, at 12% CBD, that's about 120 milligrams of CBD in that gram.
Right.
Which is equivalent of, like a lot of those bottles of CBD are 100 milligrams in a whole bottle.
Oh, right.
So it's taking that in CBD at a much higher concentration. I mean, I shouldn't say that. By the law, you're only allowed 20 milligrams a day. So you should take...
I will only have 3 puffs, I promise you.
6 days to finish one joint of that. But if you had to finish it in a day, you're getting 120 milligrams. You will see that CBD is psychoactive. Yeah. Because people always say CBD is not psychoactive.
Ah, it's interesting.
It is psychoactive, but not psychoactive like THC is. Okay. THC is psychotropic.
Okay.
It stimulates the brain activity. CBD is psychoactive and it slows down something.
Oh, bro, I love that.
So it's still psychoactive.
Yes.
Because there's a change in your brain waves and your patterns and everything.
So that's where I was going. So I've had my first little, like your grandmother, I've had my first little... Listen, I've always dabbled with sleeping pills, but I'm one of those guys, because I'm so forgetful, for God knows what reasons in my music career, whatever the reason is it like I sometimes even forget that I have insomnia. I know that's going to sound wild. It's like I forget. I'm like, I do my pills and I'm like, it's been a long time since I've actually thought it was a problem. So I've been very lucky. But in recent months, like i.e. last year, the last 12 months, like I haven't been on. So I was on a course of sleeping pills for sure, and I haven't been. It's been 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But I've had ups and downs with it. Like 2 nights ago, 5 o'clock in the morning, I was going really cafe. Literally 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And there must be a natural solution. I'm sure this is going to be one of them, especially if I.
Melatonin is another great one. I took
melatonin last night, slept like a beast.
Yeah.
The whole hour before thing.
Yeah.
And then the other, obviously, massive tool for me is to just no devices next to your bed whatsoever.
Absolutely.
Like definitely not.
Yeah.
And I catch myself every now and then going, why didn't you sleep? It's like, you're scrolling Facebook and
there's some great sleep meditations I'll share with you as well.
That'll be cool.
Like
with
really
everyone,
nice.
because I think everyone's going through it.
You put your earphones in and this guy,
really?
like he talks you through. And
is it an app?
No, it's just on YouTube.
Okay.
You just got to make sure you don't put autoplay.
Exactly.
I've done that a few times.
And you
I,
wake up to
drift
like
it off
some-
and then like
some
bang,
gangster
some
music.
advert. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no,
Exactly.
it's make sure that setting's turned off.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So that's where I was going in with that. Is like the sleep thing has been a problem for me, kind of my whole life, on and off, but especially in this day and age. So this is going to be incredible. And then you're saying, okay, so then what I wanted to move on to with that is, so you say the one is not psychoactive, and the other one is psychotropic, right?
Psychotropic, which is like a psychostimulant. Your
Okay.
THC. If you great analogy is it turns the volume up in your frontal prefrontal cortex.
Yes.
Like, so you'll find, and again, this is a generalization. Forgive me. There are women who really like high THC, but the majority of women don't.
Yeah.
You're like I will do.
We'll put the link up after this for sure. Thanks,
Michael
Andy.
Seeley is the guy's name. If you put Michael Seeley sleep meditation into YouTube,
I shall do that right away.
Yeah.
Carry
So basically, generalizations. I'm stepping out on a limb here.
Nah, bro, come on.
Women's volume is turned up enough in their minds.
Right. How do you spell Seeley? Sorry.
Sealey, I think.
L-E-Y. Michael
L-E-Y.
Sleep hypnosis.
Yeah, there we go. Sleep hypnosis.
Is
There
that
we
a
go.
good one? Okay, I'm going to drop one in the comments here, guys.
So
Karen with that.
you'll find a lot of girls when they don't like super high THC, unless they're smoking every day and their tolerance is up.
Yeah.
And yeah, for instance, even my wife here, she will once in a while have a drag.
Yeah.
Guys, sometimes we need our volume turned up. So occasionally, most guys will find a bit of benefit from having, like that thought. But you'll find with super high THC, generally, what happens is once you smoke it or use it, you're so busy trying to keep your shit together because you've got this fucking noise going on in your mind that you
Story of my freaking life.
forget to actually. Like the old days when we grew up in South Africa smoking Swazi and Transkei, and like a moderate, like maybe 10% THC and with some CBD. The natural bush varieties have a little bit of THC CBD in them too. So CBD is the yin to the THC yang.
Yes.
It's a balance.
What does CBD stand for?
Cannabidiol. Cannabidiol or
cannabidiol.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Compound, isn't it?
It's
CBD or
a
okay.
molecule in cannabis. So they're multiple, but those are the two dominant ones. So
Okay.
just a quick little aside on that.
Yeah, please.
When the Dutch breeders, who were the first ones with the cannabis coffee shops and obviously the cannabis cups and everything,
Yeah.
they figured out that CBD stops you getting as high. If you've got a plant that's got like 2-3% CBD and 15% THC in, you don't get as high.
Right.
So they bred out the CBD and increased the THC
Oh my
to
God.
have. We've got the strongest weed ever.
I
You
get
know,
anxiety thinking about it,
winning
bro.
the cannabis cup, whatever.
Panic so badly.
Then all of a sudden, when people discovered that the CBD on its own has antipsychotic properties, anti-seizure properties, they started going, well, look, this thing's got benefit, but we bred it out of all of these high THC varieties, and they found it in hemp. Hemp is higher CBD and lower THC.
Right.
So often at a ratio of at least 2-to-1, you'll find like hemp is like 2% CBD and less than 0.3% THC.
Does CBD have any cancer-fighting properties? Sorry.
Again, in that, I would say more in that potential for helping the brain fight, your own body fight the cancer. But it does, there are some, there's some studies, and there are a lot of people who say, taking CBD alone cured my cancer, but I would also challenge back that it helped you cure your cancer.
Yourself. Okay,
Yeah.
wow, that's a whole
And in the dish,
other
it does
topic.
show that, but in the dish,
Yeah.
there's lots of things. You can kill cancer with bleach in the dish. But
Got it.
you're not
Got
gonna,
it. We
like-
can't be too ingesting
Yeah,
too much
so
bleach.
we still
Donald
need
Trump.
more research to say that CBD on its own or CBD and THC combination. A lot of people, most people would say it's a combination of the two.
Yeah.
You're not just THC or not just CBD.
Yeah.
And again,
Yeah,
it speaks
I
to
mean-
what's called the entourage effect, which is that the plant and nature prevents things complex. Like you have very few isolates in nature that we eat, or it's just this one molecule. And the more you can present your medicine as a food,
Yeah.
that your brain or your system sees as complex, the more it will break it down. And your isolates, it goes like, shit, I don't know what this stuff is. It's this one molecule on its own. Don't really recognize it. It doesn't use it as effectively. So THC on its own, pure isolate THC will do a little bit of work. CBD on its own, but they've got what's called the entourage effect, which is presenting it almost as close as nature presented it, with terpenes, which are your smells, which are your flavonoids, which are your tastes, with CBD, CBDA, CBN, THEV, THE. Then your body sees it as like a food almost, and moves it around the body to where it's needed.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, so it's again, it's not just does CBD cure cancer versus THC cure cancer.
Okay, they're all like complementary and hand in hand.
And again, I'm very clear on not calling anything a cure, because I think these things help us cure ourselves.
Yeah, which again is a whole other conversation. If we talk about how the power of the mind
and reclaiming our authority on our body and our working with medicines, instead of going, I'm going to the doctor, he's going to give me a prescription, and that thing's going to fix me.
No.
You're like that. You're giving your power to some other man.
Yeah.
You're paying him, and he's going to give you something that's going to fix you.
Yeah.
You're like, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You have to be part of the process. You have to work with your healing. And that's changing. We're seeing a massive move towards more natural healing. We're going to segue.
I'm frothing for this.
Yeah, so like the thing with cannabis, and it will be a beautiful segue, is it's got so much potential, but it's slow.
Yes.
Like by nature, it slows things down.
Yeah.
And even if you look at the hemp material and the hemp building materials, it's going to take quite a while to convince people it's better to live in hemp than brick and cement. It's better to use natural fibers to wear than it is synthetics.
Yes.
It's coming.
Yeah.
But it's taking a long while for people to see, hold on, fuck all the animals in the ocean that filter feed, which is a lot. Whales, like flipping anemones, like there's those sunfish, a lot of things. They're just clogging up with plastic and microfibers from all of us who are wearing polysynthetic or polycotton or synthetic fibers and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Why is it better to wear natural fibers? Your body breathes better. You have less bacteria, less pollutants. Your clothing will go back to being plant food. All of these things. But that's a slow process, because people generally don't think that far.
Yeah.
Who reads labels, when they go and buy
I'm guilty
clothing?
of it. I'm sure this is from H&M.
Yeah.
So it's, as much as I'd like to think I'm trying to be a forward-thinking pioneer in changing the way people think, I still succumb to just societal norms, if you want to call it that.
You don't want to have to add that to you. You're now trying to think, am I looking good?
Yeah.
And what is the price? Where was it made?
Yeah.
Is it supporting sweatshop?
Yeah.
Are people getting abused?
Right.
Is the environment, like all of that in my consumer flipping decision-making process is a loss.
Yeah.
But that change is coming, but I think it's happening a little bit too slow.
Dude, it's all agonizingly too slow. And before we do our grand segue, I hope it's not going to be a letdown.
No, I've got a few little stories there.
Dude, you're not going home, by the way. I know you are. No, it's early. Oh, we're good. That's why
started a little bit earlier tonight, so thank you guys.
Thank you guys for pulling in. Thanks for your comments. We really appreciate it. Can I ask you a favor before I forget? And I always do forget. Can you just, on your little feed, can you just press share? Just at the bottom and share it with other people, or create watch parties, or help us. Let's get the word out. This is really important information. Really, like I've been waiting for this interview for the longest time. In fact, when I started the show, I was like, this one's going to be the goodie. Honestly, because so I got a little Rolodex of muso mates, thank God, and they're my chums. But that's kind of how Joe Rogan started. It's no secret that I'm trying to be the poor man's version of Joe Rogan in South Africa, but he started by he only had UFC mates.
Yeah,
he only had his fighter friends.
Yeah,
his first couple of podcasts are just the fighter mates that he had, and then it eventually extended on to
his hunter mates, because then there came the bow hunting and all of that.
Exactly, the hunter mates and all that. So you also now speak like outlet for me, in order don't get this wrong, my dear muso mates who I love, but now we're starting to expand outside of that, and these are important topics. So thank you for validating this, and it's like I've been waiting for this, bro. So
it's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, bro.
Part of my responsibility is to share.
Yes.
And I've always tried to hold this, and I'm going to sound a little airy-fairy out here or whatever, and I'm not worried about that at all. But I've been in service of this plant for a long time.
Right.
It's not that the plant serves me,
right.
and it does. I mean, obviously, I've got my house out of it. I've got most of my clothing, my career out of it. A lot of my friendships, my travel, everything.
Servant, bro. A humble servant, bro.
the plant tells me, like, it rewards me for
Yeah.
serving it,
Yeah.
because the work I do helps it get into minds that doesn't exist in, or has been imprisoned in, helps it get into bodies that it wouldn't be able to access,
Yeah.
helps it grow in places, because cannabis is one of those plants that spreads around the world through us,
Yes.
not through wind or birds or sea or everything. Humans have taken it
pollination secret.
from Norway to New Zealand and everywhere in between.
Pooping them seeds out in
It's
God
gone
knows
with
where.
us. Yeah, like it's spread through us, and it's almost in a way. And there's a documentary, I can't remember it, but it speaks about certain plants that have developed attributes that they're almost cultivating us by creating things that we enjoy, like smoking a joint or
Yeah.
clothing or textiles, whatever. It has spread around the planet. We've taken it because we value it. Potatoes is another one. You know,
Right.
It's like apples becoming
Yes.
sweeter and sweeter for human taste. That's how it spread from where it started in, I think, Siberia or somewhere all around the world, because
Right.
it developed something that it knew we loved.
Yeah.
And the same with cannabis.
Yeah.
It's developed this THC, this ability to help us expand our minds in some way
Yeah.
and heal us. And that's why it's everywhere around the world.
Yeah.
And it's an incredibly adaptable plant.
Yeah.
It grows in many, many climates.
Well,
And it
weed
helps
bites,
us adapt to our
situation,
changing
yeah.
climate as well.
But weed bites very nature. It's only in my ridiculously dumb way of unpacking things. Weed is an invasive thing. It's an invasive plant, right? So, well, if you think about it, and I say invasive not in the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's like a dominant thing,
Yeah.
which is why there's weeds that
Yes.
overtake your garden, right? This is my
It's a pioneer as well.
It is.
Like,
No, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm leading into a very big
Okay.
like big up of it. But weed, the reason that it also goes and fights cancers and does all these things is because it's a dominant plant by nature. It goes in and it gets the job done. It takes care of shit. It's like basically like move aside. I'm here, but it's
Fixes
very
the soil. It creates shade for other plants.
yeah.
It's-
But also I'm saying internally even
Yeah.
inside you.
Yeah.
That's just my idea. I mean, I'm not a
Ah,
scientist.
okay.
I'm just saying. So
Yeah.
it's going in and it goes move aside, cancer.
Yeah, yeah,
Excuse
yeah.
me, I'm the boss here. I'm
Yeah.
weed. Like wherever you think you've planted yourself.
It's a
You
power plant.
That's
It is.
that's kind of where I'm going
Yeah.
with that. So
Yeah.
and the mere fact that we've spent our lives having this kind of this stigma attached to weed and
Yeah.
the devil's lettuce and the demon dachas and do you remember that Facebook that group the dacha demons? Oh God, they were a parody. It was
Yeah.
dude, it
Yeah,
was,
no, they
dude, it was
created a lot
for
of
the
laughs.
longest time. It was
Yeah.
probably my go-to place for humor because it was freaking people out. Remember
Yeah.
what people against the devil and dacha demons or something like that.
Look, there've been a lot of freaks on this journey, and there've been a lot of humor, but
Yeah,
the reality is, and we must never forget this, there are still people in this country
yeah,
getting locked up. Probably tonight there are people who are in a cage for having this in their pocket. Like still happening, even though there are licenses given and permits given. The Rasta community, the PTSD that community must feel, that just
Right.
because, and I mean, you must have felt it having dreads, as you said.
Yeah.
Everyone assumed you were a dealer just because you had dreads.
yeah,
That they still lived in apartheid. Apartheid ended 20 years, but for the Rasta, they could still get stopped anywhere. Hey, Rasta, what you got in your pockets?
Yeah.
Hey, Rasta, I'm going to kick your door in because
Oh,
I believe
right.
you got some plants there. Hey, Rasta, you're like, I'm going to arrest you because I think you're selling weed. Just,
Yeah.
like it's there, that we have to end.
Yeah.
Like that there may be harms if you abuse anything.
yeah. Of
Like,
course.
and if you abuse cannabis, like that, there are other issues that we got to deal with
course.
on helping people who abuse it.
Yeah,
Nothing you do will do you more harm in this country than having a criminal record at this time.
oh my God. It's
Yeah,
the
like,
it's the
or
worst
even
thing.
going to jail for a night can ruin your life. Yeah.
Oh my God, 100%.
so-
And for that kind of possession, it's just
Yeah.
it's
So that we have to stop. Like that.
How far would you say we are from doing that, Brendan?
Well, I think if a new bill gets issued where like it's not just about the right to privacy, like that you can. What I'd love to see is that cannabis social clubs, that as an adult I should be able to
Yeah.
go. So what the theme is, it's collectivization of private space.
Yeah.
So if I can't grow, if I don't have a garden that I can
Yeah.
put my 6 plants or whatever they're
You
going
can
to
go
allow
to
me
a
in,
trusted supplier.
I can give it my right to those 6 plants to a club.
Ah.
They grow on my behalf. I've got an average of whatever they grew, 6 plants.
Aren't they doing something like this in Durban?
Yeah, they are. The people who are
Okay.
trying it already are starting
Okay.
the process, and it's
Okay.
based on a Spanish model
Okay.
of you collectivize your private space.
Yeah.
And then you get tokens, and you go to your club and you trade your tokens in over the year for whatever plants are available that some other members of the club have grown, who have space,
Right.
who've grown maybe on your behalf. So you say, I can't grow my 6 plants. I work all day. I don't have green fingers.
And those reasons again why you can't is because child in the property.
Exactly.
Or
Or your gardens. You don't have a
Or
garden.
it's visible. It's visible to the neighbors.
You're like most of the country. Who's got a fence with a garden that you can't see in?
I know. It's
You're
true.
like,
No, it's
yes,
true.
Bishop's Court and Claremont and whatever, but
And a
you go out to-
sunken Scottish castle, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so this would make a nice grow room, by the way.
I'm glad you can
Yeah.
have my tokens. Bro.
There we go.
Pleasure.
And then also medical. What I'd love to see is on the medical side is, yes, let's have a medical professional in the route that if you want to use it medically, you go to your doctor. He assesses you. Do you have a history of psychoses? Do you have schizophrenia in your family? Do you
Yeah.
have anything that might mean that you have to do it under supervision?
Yeah.
That maybe the doctor, you need to come to the doctor. Yeah, like
Yeah,
once
because it's
a-
always one of those
once
one or two
every
freaks.
few months or whatever.
Yeah.
You're like, or there's a reason why it's not good for you.
Yeah.
If he clears you of that,
Yeah.
you get your medical card and you can go to a dispensary. And that dispensary, you can use it for my back pain, my sleep, my anxiety, whatever. You're a now medical cannabis user.
Yeah.
That opens up an industry. That means that everyone in South Africa who is, like all the guys in Pondoland and wherever who are growing will have a market
Yeah.
to sell to these dispensaries. Because I see another tragedy coming in South Africa is the government is waking up, but they're going to give permission for cultivation only. They're going to give a whole lot of farmers permission to grow, thinking that there's some magical Canadian investor who's going to come and buy everything that all of our farmers can grow.
Yes.
Canada is full. They've
Yeah.
currently got 25 years of stock in Canada to supply the legal cannabis industry. Germany wants EU GMP, which is pharmaceutical grade, which you
Wow.
can only get like in an indoor environment that costs,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even start trying to go there without 20 million rand.
Wow. To create that.
No one's going to
environment,
do
yeah.
that growing in the Eastern Cape. So we have to create a local industry.
Yeah.
We have to create a place for those farmers who are going to grow to sell.
Yeah.
And that would be through a medical dispensary, but
Yeah.
you get your card,
Yeah.
or through these cannabis social clubs.
Like in California, right?
Yeah,
They
like
pretty much-
California,
and
Colorado,
yeah.
Canada all started that way.
My mate came back from Colorado and he was like, bro, it was like walking into an eye store.
Yeah,
He says you can't believe. He says you can't believe, like an Apple shop, like an Apple store. He's like, you can't believe how they've done that there, and I completely agree with that.
look, a lot of my fellow activists might say, no, why do I need to go to a doctor to get my weed? I should just be able to get it. But our country is still conservative. Even if
right.
we have to admit that you and I,
Bro.
we feel fairly normal, but
Yeah.
we're out on the fringe
Yeah.
as far as open-mindedness and tolerance and everything.
And by rights, we actually should be still suppressed.
Yeah.
Or doesn't mean, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like
not
we-
enlightened enough.
Yeah, like I could imagine most of the people who watching here are, if you really think about it, we're fringe. We're
Yeah,
out there, we're
yeah.
open-minded, we're tolerant of others,
Yeah.
but the majority of our country is still conservative.
Right.
Majority of the ANC voters are still churchgoers.
Proper.
So the ANC government is very nervous about losing votes.
Yeah.
They're not going to give total legalization just like that.
Hmm.
If we can call it medical, still put a and it doesn't need to be a doctor, it can be a traditional healer, can be a health practitioner, just checks you out.
Yeah.
You're like, are you at risk?
It's like any medicine. You go
Yeah.
consult your physician before
There
you
we go.
take. You know, like yeah.
But
why
it
not?
shouldn't be consult him every time you want it.
Yes.
You get your card
It's
and
a
then
once-off
you're a
thing. So if you've
user.
got a history of, as you say, of
Yeah,
reactions to it,
yeah.
then maybe have someone guide you on that. But
And
definitely not every time.
It's a progressive approach. It's not the ultimate, but we have to be progressive and say, okay, it's still better than people getting thrown in a cage. It's still going to allow active to choice, which is what I'm saying, what you would have. If you had to choose to use cannabis, you should be able to find low THC, high CBD varieties.
Yeah.
But the moment you can't,
Yeah.
no dealer's going to stock that because you're not going to pay 150 Rand a gram for a low THC variety.
Yeah.
You're like, so those guys only stock high potency.
Yeah.
What happens post legalization is you've got choice.
Mm.
You can walk in and find, I don't like high THC.
That's
I want a
like
1-to-1. I want 10%, 10%. There it is. I want to drink. There
Bro,
it is. Yeah, I
before we
want
go into
tincture.
our segue, do you know? Let's talk about Silk Road on that very
Yeah.
topic. Do you know that story,
Yeah.
bro? I mean, what's his name? Ross Ulbricht.
Yeah.
He's in jail for 10 years now, and
For providing choice.
for providing choice, bro. They used Tor. He created a thing called a Tor server, which is the equivalent of, for those who don't know, the dark web consists of pretty much 80 or 90% of the internet, and the reason is that the internet that we know is indexed. So the rest of the internet is called the dark web, and it's because it's unindexed. So this guy called Ross Ulbricht.
Yeah, that's right.
Ulbricht. He created, using a software called Tor, he created a platform called Silk Road. Yes, it's controversial, could be a whole nother podcast, but it's a long story, and it's coming to the forefront now, and again, unapologetically in the footsteps of Joe Rogan. He also just had an incredible interview with a guy who's done a movie now based on a documentary that was out on Netflix, which was called not Dark Web, Dark something Sherbet. Try and Google it. Seeing as I don't have my own Jamie. But that story, so what he did is he provided a way for people to get whatever they want, like our right, that you know, as you said. And in those years that he was doing it, okay, he eventually got busted by the cops in ways that I don't agree with at all. It was a tragedy. He's been sentenced to a double life sentence plus 40 years with no chance of parole. And at one stage, he was given a plea bargain for 10 years, which now in hindsight he really should have taken.
Yeah.
But they set him up so badly. It was such an infringement on his rights. They went to
I haven't seen the document. I really look forward to seeing it.
Dude, I'll put the link on here as well. It's this one of the saddest tales in the world. Basically, the government, they duped him. They got into his account, and they put, because obviously in the dark web you can do kind of anything, and they
guns and
can do guns, and you can do hits and criminal stuff. So they actually put 2 hits on his record that he never, or I guess maybe it's disputable. Who knows? I don't believe he did. He was just this young kid. And then what happened is when he went to court, because even though it was struck from his record, the feds eventually struck it, but it still was there. So it was on his record and it struck, and it swung the jurors entirely to give him this thing. But like the Chicago police were recording, they reported a 45% decrease in street crime during this time, because you were able to go on the dark web using cryptocurrency, and you can get, and it's like eBay, you get a 5-star rating.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're going to buy anything from anyone, and again, this is a topic that in our conservative country we have to be so careful about, but fuck it. That's why I'm thinking this. Right, no, really, bro. We got to start.
Look, I mean, I can guarantee in this city right now, there are doctors who have been morphine addicts for their life, but are still functional. Still doing, because they've got access to clean drugs, clean needles, clean, that is the reality. Most of the harms of the war on drugs come from the criminalization of drugs. Or it's not even criminalization of drugs, it's criminalization of drug users.
Yes.
It's of people who choose to use them. And now, because you've made that choice, you don't have access to healthcare.
Yes.
You don't have access to your
job. Or the good stuff,
or you can't go if you, a young kid who gets addicted to, I'm not saying young, but even a 20-year-old who gets addicted to tick.
Yeah.
You can't go to your boss.
Yeah.
And say, look, I've got a
problem. I
problem.
need an outreach program. Yeah.
You will get fired.
Yeah.
You'll probably get arrested. You'll get a criminal record. That's it.
Done.
And I'll give you a great little analogy that a lady once came into our shop at Emporium, and she was like, I really like this hemp stuff. Wow, it's awesome, but Dacha ruined my son's life. And I was like, really? Tell me about it. She said, no, he was at a good school in the southern suburbs. And, he was first team rugby player, and he was really doing well. And then they went to Hermanus for a weekend just before finals. And they got caught smoking Dacha by the police. And then he got expelled.
Oh, you see, well, that really is that for sure.
Then he had to, the next day, he had to go to, next year, he had to go to college. They didn't have any sports, so he stopped playing rugby. He didn't have any of his friends, so he didn't get into he got into a bad social circle. And he didn't get an exemption, so he didn't get into varsity because he messed up his studies. And I was like, okay, so what ruined his life? That night of smoking Dacha, or what happened after him, where he was branded, pushed out of his social scene, pushed out of his school, branded now a Dacha addict.
So the law ruined his life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The impact of this war on drugs is way worse than the substances will ever be.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm not saying they can't cause harm.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah, for sure.
there are harmful substances. Well, there are ways that we as humans
Can abuse
you know,
anything.
if we had even a poppy plant growing here,
Yeah,
it could sit here all the time. It would not cause us harm.
yeah,
But if we had to make that into opium, into heroin, and
Yeah.
like use that every day for the next couple of years, that
Yeah.
would probably cause
but
us
Brett,
some harm.
anytime when you compare it at any time to alcohol,
Yeah,
you
that's
jo-
totally legal.
Are you joking? Are you kidding me?
No.
It's ridiculous. If
Yeah.
you think about what alcohol has caused, never mind. You talk about what's the step up or the leading drug, whatever. What's it called? You know what I'm saying?
The gateway.
Yeah, gateway.
Yeah.
Talk about a gateway thing. Alcohol.
Yeah.
Anything goes. The
Yeah.
worst decisions. You know, the worst decisions you do in life. Like, I mean, and they say Dacha is a gate. I mean, come on, please. Man.
Dacha is a gateway,
Yeah.
but not to what they told us it was a gateway
Yes,
to.
correct. Yeah.
You
It's
know,
an
that,
open mind.
So should we segue?
Yes, immediately. Can I intro it quickly?
Yeah.
Okay. This is awesome. This is great because really it also just goes on to the story about how people have labeled things. Like you talk about cocaine, heroin, all the hectic class A's, and every kind of all the time you hear this weird word being thrown into that catalog a group as well. People go, he was doing everything. He was doing heroin, mushrooms, cocaine. He was doing.
Yeah.
You're like, hang on. Go back there. What the M word? What are you talking about? Psilocybin mushrooms. It's been already so horrendously classed. It's a plant that's been outlawed ridiculously. So here's my quick story about it. I was training about 2 years ago with a fantastic guy, legend, not gonna name him. And he was talking to me about his friends who were going through some this is before COVID, who were really battling with depression. And I've been kind of on the forefront, not the forefront, just research-wise, like super interested, checking out the work that people have been doing, treating, and not treating depression, curing depression using psilocybin mushrooms, right?
Mm.
And I'm a late bloomer with the mushroom thing, and I'll tell people how it is like the way I've fortunately coped with it, if you want to call it that, is I'm a very big believer in the microdosing thing. Like, I don't like hero dosing, taking mushrooms. Like, you know, you get some hippie walks out under a tree, goes, here, bro, here's a dose. Eh?
Yeah,
It's like, fuck, dude, where did that grow? Under what conditions?
Yeah.
How do we know
What's a dose?
What's a dose to you and a dose
Yeah.
to me? So I'm like, if an oak offers me this much mushrooms, I go like, okay,
Yeah.
can we wait for an hour and see? Like an hour, bro. And I'm not gung ho about it. But I was trying to tell my mates that like this is not me. There's actual research. If you Google how people have been treating depression with psilocybin, not treating anymore, it's cured.
Yeah.
For the first time we know, and you're going to tell us a lot more, which I'm very excited about. But that was my introduction to how conservative and petrified people are. First of all, of the word mushrooms. It's been, first of all, categorized with all those heavy class A's.
Yeah.
And then second of all, they just don't understand. Because also when they have met their mates who had mushrooms at a festival, they invariably had a bad experience because they were assholes. And the same as the plant is your teacher. If you take too much of anything, especially when we start going to the psychedelic realm, it's gonna fuck you up. Auntie's gonna rack you on the knuckles with a ruler and go, "Hey,
set and setting." I'll get on to set and setting.
No, but that's it. That's my story. So that's literally it. So I'm a firm believer in psilocybin as well.
Yeah.
When I tell you that I can swear, it's been well over a year since I've microdosed.
Yeah.
For me, it's
Yeah.
not something that I use. Well over a year.
Well, it's not addictive. So,
It's not addictive at
Yeah.
all. I mean, we can even talk about San Pedro.
Yeah.
Hold on, I've got a reverb button. We won't hear. San Pedro was the most beautiful experience I've ever had in my life 4 years ago. Do you know what I mean? This is not something that we do.
Yeah.
So tell me your story. I hope there was a decent enough setup.
Okay, so I'll skip through a few gaps, but with post the Constitutional Court's ruling, my life got crazy. You can imagine.
Yeah.
Everyone came to me and
Yeah.
were like, Tony, I want to
Yeah.
get in the industry. I want to get a license.
Yeah,
I
I
want to grow
remember.
cannabis. I want to grow weed. You're like,
Yeah.
how am I going to do it? Where am I going to do it? How? You're like, and I was like, hold on. You're like, I've had like the past 20 years, I've had journalists and students coming to me, like for this information. Now you want to run a business. And you're going to be a competitor to us.
Yes.
And you wanted me to just
And for what
hand
person?
over
Yeah,
all of
your
our
IP.
20 years of IP
Yeah.
to you because I'm a good guy. You're
Mm.
like, I was like, no, hold on. Let me start doing
I've even had a few phone calls with you.
Yeah,
Hey, my bro, and you're like, what are the intentions? I'm like, oh shit, hang on.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you. Do you know what I mean?
No, it got crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and that was where you're like, I had to take a step back and go, hold on, like, I serve the plant.
Yes.
What is my intention? You're like financially, you're like, is it a problem to earn money off this? Because as activists, we all have this kind of almost poverty mentality that you like to do good and to make money. They don't work together. You have to be poor, or you're like, it's almost like making money off something that's good is it doesn't seem normal, but it's slowly changing. You look at like people like Elon Musk and that kind of thing. You're like, slowly the cover of our Financial Times is not just the oil barons or the miners. You're like, so it is coming. But so I went through this whole kind of crises in my own mind of like, how do I trust? Who do I trust?
Yeah.
And I started doing more consultancies, and through that met.
Thank you so much, Siri. She's having a little listening. Just
hello, Siri.
We might be in a dungeon, but she's always listening.
Always listening.
Thank you, darling.
Listening.
So creepy as fuck. Shut up.
So I started doing more consultancies, and I met an amazing guy called Jody Alfruchter, who, like he started Biscuit Mill, Old McDaddy, Woodstock Exchange, and that, and just a very visionary businessman. And together we got a license in Lesotho for medical. So Lesotho government, like moved for a small little country 100 times faster than South African government.
I was going to say, why is everyone in Lesotho so?
A compliant government who wants to create an enabling environment for businesses to operate.
Beautiful.
Like right here we have land, we have good air, we have amazing water. We don't have much else, but you guys can come and operate here, and we'll give you permission. Yeah. Which is what we've been asking from the South African government for a long time.
Got so much damn land that we could do the same, but oh God, I'm so sorry.
So through that, we actually got acquired by the biggest Canadian cannabis company in the world for 2 years. We ran under them, and I'm glad. It was a hard decision for me as well, because they're corporate cannabis, and everyone kind of judged me for making the decision. But for me, I knew it was like me doing my master's, or maybe even my PhD in the industry, an opportunity that I didn't have in South Africa. I've done the activism, run an entrepreneurial business for a very long time. Done all that, but let me see what big business is about. Yeah. And I'm very glad, because I learned mostly what not to do. Yeah. The Canadian industry was a perfect storm, with every stoner from the 60s to now waiting for some industry to go legal where they could invest. We love the plant. We love we know it's going to do amazing things. They just threw money at Canada. As soon as Canada allowed companies to list, they just threw. I don't care what you do with it. Here's my money. Take it. So everyone in Canada just built the biggest facilities they could.
How long ago has that kind of been that they were?
This would have been like 2017, 2018.
Okay.
Shortly after we got our license in Lesotho.
I thought way longer ago.
No. Everything has happened really fast.
Okay, cool.
It's like there's a classic saying goes, change takes longer than you ever thought it would take, but when it happens ever faster than you ever dreamed it could.
Okay.
I
love that. I love that.
Canada just happened so fast. They had all this money, and the only matrix they had to value their companies was on the size, how many square feet of greenhouses they had, how many licenses they had, how many investments they had. So they bought us in Lesotho, they bought Portugal, Colombia. They just had billions of dollars. This company that we worked for was worth $24 billion for a 4-year-old cannabis company. $24 billion. I don't even want to know, compared to our South African GDP, one company.
That's amazing, bro.
So we had the opportunity to learn, and most of what I learned was of what not to do. Yeah. The North American attitude of bigger is always best.
Yes.
Who's going to be the biggest?
Yeah. No.
You get it right on a small level first, and then you grow. You build your business modular. So I learned incredible amount. We did an MBO, a management buyout. We got our company back last year after 2 years of running, but we did well in the process. We learned. I used it as I said, as my master's. Yeah. And in that process, we also built a really good relationship with the Lesotho government. Right. We invested in Lesotho. We employed a lot of people. We built facilities. And through that, we saw what was coming next, which is the psychedelic wave.
Yeah.
And
bro. And let's go. Hold on one more time with Ryu. Oh, mushrooms, freaky.
Mushrooms. So we got a permission or permit to grow magic mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms, or psilocybin.
Yeah.
And through that, we also raised a lot of finance, and we've now bought.
So is that Oregon, Portland, Oregon's? They've legalized everything.
They've legalized everything.
Okay.
Colorado, Denver's, you can grow mushrooms.
Psilocybin.
Canada's given the first patients permission to use in palliative care.
Wow.
So
Wow.
So it's very interesting space, palliative, because it takes away one of the bigger problems with drugs is long-term damage. You're like, what is your long-term damage going to be of someone taking the substance? If you're dying, who cares?
Yes.
And also it elevates this right to try. If you're dying,
Sure.
how can you deny someone the right to try something that's going to alleviate their pain or their existential trauma?
It's also like denying the right to die with euthanasia. It's like kind of that.
Exactly.
Like you should have the choice to at least try any medicine that you want. Yeah.
So we acquired a company called Science, Psyence.
Ah,
Very
see,
nice.
even the old bluffer put that together.
They got product development and neurologists and everything together, and so we've got cultivation in Lesotho and product development and the science. Let science lead the way.
Yeah.
And we are working in the space of palliative care because one of the effects of mushrooms is it helps you lose the fear of death.
Yes.
So this psychedelic space, and it's not just mushrooms. I mean, it can happen with LSD, but LSD is a little bit longer and it's a harder process.
Yeah.
It's like 12 hours. Mushrooms like 4 to 6.
Yeah.
And even ketamine, which is semi-legal.
Really, they've also been doing those studies as well. We're doing ketamine as well for depression.
Ketamine in South Africa, there are already quite a few ketamine clinics.
Wow.
And ketamine is helping with suicidal thoughts. People coming in suicidal, one dose, and they're changing around. So psychedelics is, the word psychedelic, it's mind expansion.
Right.
Originally, they were called it was another term, sorry, I forget, but it meant they thought that it made you crazy.
Yes.
And they were giving it to the therapists to say, let you experience what your patients are going through. Let's make you crazy so you can have empathy, you can have understanding.
Yeah.
And then they figured out, hold on, these people who are going through this experience, they're going crazy, but they're also having this really beautiful connection to God or
it's crazy
a mystical experience.
On the outside, from if you want to break it down to what we've been brought up to think, so that anyone who looks enlightened, anyone who looks like they're tripping, or anyone who's hallucinating, is actually closer to God in some sense, as you say.
It's a mystical experience.
It's a mystical. So what's the first thing you do when you're a conservative? Anyone, you label it immediately. You go, going nuts.
Yeah,
he must be mad. Meanwhile, first of all, if you don't realize the properties of what this healing plant is doing, it's only a couple of hours. Listen, I mean, I grew up in the bluff with the Oaks would chang Malpitta, okay? So there's a difference. That's like a 2 or 3 day jaw where the Oaks would walk into the NC's beach call hut with a surfboard. You're like, because you probably should have processed in a little bit of a safer environment.
Yeah, exactly.
No wonder the Oaks will say you mull.
I mentioned it earlier, set and setting.
Correct.
So this is a term, what is very, very interesting for me, because when this door opened for me, and I've always been, my journey has been, Tony, when a door opens for you, you step through it. And having 25 years, like more than half my life in cannabis, and now mushrooms door opened for me, and I was like, jeepers, have you got the fucking energy to go through this again, to open people's minds and hearts to something that they believe is so evil? You're like, you've just kind of got there you've crested with cannabis.
No.
You've got the opportunity now. You're an expert.
Imagine. It's like, why?
You can, like,
moving
run the
too
career.
fast.
And I was like, okay, hold on. Here's a choice. And what I've seen, okay, so just let me just go to set and setting. Is a lot of what we've experienced with psychedelics is people taking it at a party or a festival,
freaking out,
where there's loads of other influence. You're like, you don't know where you're going to go. You take it and you're off there, and there's fucking lights and music and crazy people.
Or you meet some doers who just really
exactly.
doesn't know how to be careful.
So the way you're using the term is not psychedelic medicine.
Yeah.
Psychedelic assisted psychotherapy.
Yes. Yeah.
Using psychedelics to open someone's mind so much that you can go and access their trauma.
Right.
In a short amount of time. You can go back to the PTSD or like the trauma that they're sitting with, the fear of death. You're like, and you access source in that high psychoactive experience of the deep psychedelic experience. You go to a point where you are no longer this. You're no longer the flesh and bones.
Yes.
You are accessing a true source, and you realize that your soul is real.
Yeah.
Not just think about this thing exists outside of my meat jacket. You feel it. You experience this deep connection with soul. And once you experience that, you realize that post this thing dying, I'm going to exist in some way.
Yeah.
I'm going somewhere. And that takes away the fear of death.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And if you can live those last few months without that fear, without that anxiety of death and the dying fear, it's called Thanatophobia.
Thanatophobia.
It's your fear of death or fear of the dying experience. If you can lose that, the quality of life and the ability to engage with your family, your friends, your process is that much better.
That combined with having munchies and having a sense
of humor. Exactly. I mean, so
life is sensational.
The plants.
Yeah.
And okay, so there's the set and setting. Back to that is the set is setting your intention.
Yeah.
What are you going to experience in this journey? The setting is where you experience it. So, like up to now, a lot of the research is done with a psychotherapist at your side. So if you have
like shamans,
in a beautiful environment, good music, comfortable environment, whether it's a bed or a couch, and you go through that experience where you can allow yourself to release to the work.
Yeah.
If something negative comes up, because you're going to see things that you don't want to see.
Sorry, can I interrupt? Because it's the first time I shared this, by the way, and this is the perfect platform. You say set and setting. It's so powerful in my life, Bruce. So I took LSD for the first time when I was 19. I was at a club called White Horse Inn in Randburg. I don't know if that even rings a bell. I hope it doesn't.
I was in the army in Pretoria. I was a medic. That's where this all started. But one of the biggest fights I've ever seen was at the White Horse.
Okay, so talk about set and setting, and God bless him. To this day, I apologize. Leon Otto and Chris Furness, I'm so sorry. They were such sweethearts. But I took a whole microdot, right? And I don't know anything about anything. God. Bro, and I am a bit of a control freak. I'm a little bit, I don't know what you want to call it, but I'm as happy-go-lucky as I am. I don't love losing control. Yeah. Especially on my first time with them. And set and setting, so nightclub, you with two mates, you talk about shamans.
No, you can't even bump the wrong guy in the White Horse. That's the fight started because the guy bumped into the wrong guy in front of me.
Dude, never mind that. So that fortunately wasn't even affected that night. It was just the fact that in that setting, in the environment that I was with, and my two dear friends who I love forever, and I love you always, please make this known. But they weren't guiding me, and I wasn't convinced enough that I was going to be okay. My own mind became my biggest enemy. I was convinced that I was going to be fucked for the rest of my life. And I didn't have a shaman going, okay, like blowing tobacco smoke on me. No. And like waving a palm tree going, you're going to be fine.
You're the White Horse.
You could see the look in their eyes. You could see that there was panic. So setting, and I fucked out properly, bro. It was the worst experience of my life.
I think there's some PTSD you need to
post that experience. And I'll tell you what helped me with that. I'll tell you on our segue, my introduction to mushrooms. And this was recent. People might never believe. I'm talking 5 years ago max was the first time I ever had mushrooms. Yeah. And I also did it super, as I say, Marco, I'm a control freak, so I'm like, I'm not going to do that hero dose and go and sit in a tent because I can't stand that. But that helped me process a lot of that stress, which for sure was a proper thing. I was 19. I'm 36 this month. That's how long it's freaked me out. And so here's the other trigger, which is weird, and you'll have a lot of cool insight about this. But for some reason, THC gets me back into that mind frame, the overanalyzing brain that I can't shut up. Yeah. Like I'll analyze everything. I'll look at that and go, okay, who made that keyboard? Yeah. What and I'll just go there and next level, and I've never been able to process that for the longest time. So THC, to this day, still takes me back there. Yeah. Mushrooms doesn't, because mushrooms actually creates an awareness where I'm able to be in my observing mind, which has been the greatest gift. Yeah. Actually, a dear friend of mine taught me how to do that, and so
there's a thing called. So a great book, I'll recommend it. Called It's an author called Michael Pollan, who you might have heard of. He's like a foodie journalist, very mainstream journalist, and it's called How to Change Your Mind: The New Science of Psychedelics.
Got it.
But he speaks about something called your default mode network.
Okay.
So in our mind, there's this thing that filters most of the senses out.
Yes.
So you can imagine if we were experiencing everything that we feel and see like if I was sitting here and I got a light that side, I can hear the dog here, I can hear you, I'm aware there's a camera over there, there are people out there, I'm thinking about what are they thinking about. My mind would trip out if I'm thinking about every sense that's coming to me. Yeah, my whiskey over there.
Yeah.
You're like, so this default mode network filters out majority of things. Even to a point of when you drive a road that you drive every day.
Yeah.
You don't see that road.
Yeah, you feel
your mind has a picture of that road and it navigates you on that picture.
Yeah.
I don't look at you every time I see you because I know you.
Yes.
I haven't looked at you today. You got a new earring in there. You're like, I've got this picture of art that exists because I know you.
Yes.
And it's a picture that my mind shows me, not what my eyes are seeing.
Right.
So this default mode network in the psychedelic experience gets overrun. It gets shut off.
Yeah.
And we go into pure sensory experience.
Right.
You're feeling and seeing everything. So in that expence at Whitehorse, you are seeing.
Oh my God, I was
fucking Randburg boy cheese.
I heard
you're seeing the
thoughts
labs. You're seeing the music, the fucking bouncers,
dude,
everything, the dirty floor. It's all coming at you.
It freaked me so badly, bro.
So you're so open to every sense. So you want to be in a very controlled environment.
So there we go. Set and setting. As
you want to have a sitter with you, someone who's looking at you. If you need water, they're going to put it in your hand because you can't flip and see where that bottle is.
Certainly.
If you need to go to the toilet, they're going to help you stand up and walk you
there.
That's
it. When I did the San Pedro thing,
it
was also the only way I could compare it was an incredibly clean version of the LSD that I experienced when I was 19. It was so because it had elements of it. It was super, super clean, but I had all my faculties in place. I was so aware. I went up Table Mountain with a backpack. I had beautiful food that I'd packed. I had water. I had sunscreen. I had a hat. And even though I was tripping complete fucking balls for 10 hours, at no stage was I needing to be led. Like, I was so cognizant, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I was tripping harder than I've ever in my life before. And bro, dude, that's another conversation. Once you get over the psilocybin barrier, San Pedro is ridiculous.
San Pedro, psilocybin, even MDMA. You're like people, you see it as ecstasy that you take in a club and you dance. But mostly
that's a PTSD treatment as well.
MDMA and for couple therapy.
Yeah.
But in the right environment.
Yes, exactly.
Not in a club where you're drinking shots on it and smoking weed and doing maybe a line of this and that and whatever.
Correct. Yeah.
You're like you fuck for days afterwards.
Yeah.
Used in the right environment. I mean, it's having amazing results. Just research MAPS. Which is the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies.
Oh, wow. Well done.
Yeah. Like they're pioneering already into, I think, phase 3 clinical trials on MDMA for
amazing.
PTSD. And a lot to do with these soldiers who are coming back who's so I'll explain to you a little bit about PTSD.
Yeah.
So PTSD, basically, if you think about a graph and the ground... at the bottom here is where we want to exist. It's when you're present, when you're in your Zen mode, you're here in the moment, you're like acting, you react, you're kind of creating your life, you're not reacting, that kind of thing, where we want to be. Most of us exist, if the graph goes up, in semi-fight or flight.
Yes.
We've got so much being thrown at us in modern existence. You're like, fucking billboards and messages and phones and driving fast and this and
trauma.
this and pressure and everything.
Day,
So we're in fight or flight.
Yeah.
So we heightened adrenal. You're like we're running on adrenaline most of the time. Then at the top of that, you've got like proper trauma. Like where you're seeing things you can't even begin to process. And right at the top you get into something called the freeze, which is where most policemen, soldiers, and people who've been through deep trauma exist. Where on the surface, you look at them and you go like, "Jeepers, this guy looks normal." But you're a policeman. What do you must see in a day? Soldier. You're like, how do they process it?
No,
But they
South
don't.
African police.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
So they exist in this freeze right at the top, where you're like, you can't possibly process everything you're seeing and you're going through. So you just exist in this numb space, where on the surface you look normal, you're existing.
Yeah.
So say you come back from war, these soldiers who are coming back from into the States after Afghanistan and Iraq and that, and you want to go back to normal life. So you come back down into feeling. You can't jump straight down to your Zen mode.
Yeah.
You start feeling again. You go through this fight or flight, and you start freaking out. You start fucking up people in the bar. You're beating your wife. You start freaking out. So you go back into the freeze.
Yes.
And PTSD is that thing where you start wanting to feel, wanting to be normal.
Yeah.
But it's just too intense. Your memories come flooding.
Jump back into
you
your
go back
survival
into the
mode.
freeze.
Yeah.
And it's this like loop of like
And
into
you're saying
the
MDMA
freeze,
and those
into feeling.
treatments are your
MDMA is just going
trigger
through.
going
You
back
go
in.
through this therapeutic experience of feeling,
it's all
of
love-based,
empathy,
really.
of
You just-
loving,
Yeah.
of being sensory again, of being open, and you go through that experience in a space of 6-8 hours. But again, psychedelic assisted
Correct.
psychotherapy.
I
You've got a
couldn't say
therapist
that
who
more.
will go like talk you through it.
Correct.
Why did you experience?
Correct.
Why did you experience?
Also the right
it? Why?
doses, you know. It's
yeah.
like people fucked it up, and I talk about
Yeah.
microdosing. It's like, bro, just micro. If you didn't feel anything at the end of your session, that's actually a great session.
Well, there are two sides to that.
Okay, yeah, so the hero dose argument as well. Yeah.
So
Okay.
with the fear of death, you have to face death.
Okay, I love it. Go.
Yeah. So if you have that hero dose of like 5 grams of mushrooms,
Oh,
or
dude, it
like
petrifies the
you
shit
will face death in that you feel so disassociated from your body
out of me. Yeah,
that you realize this isn't the only life.
right, and it's powerful.
You
bro.
face your body death.
Yes.
Your ego death.
Yeah.
Your ego isn't there. There's nothing to tell you I should be worrying how I look. What is
Yes.
that person
Yeah,
over there thinking about
fuck
me?
it. Yeah.
What is the person that who do I want to tell about this tomorrow?
Yes.
You're so in the moment.
But can you see how from my side, like having come from such a trauma and being the control freak guy, like I'm not quite ready to go into surrendering control again, even though I probably need to. We are probably identifying that in this very
certain
chat.
setting is everything.
Setting. I probably need the hero dose to address the trauma, to kill ego in the moment. All these things where I must say, like I would like to claim beneficially again, claim the ego control thing is where I'm coming from, even by saying this. Like in my little dabbling with it, and again, when it's been over a year since I touched psilocybin, and I love it. I think it's the most beautiful plant on earth, but it's like not something I do. But when I did, I was like, I had so much healing already, and I was already dealing with my processes.
There is space for the microdose. There's definitely space.
Yes.
It helps with your general anxiety. It helps with bringing a little magic into our lives, because a lot of our lives is mundane.
You've heard those Google and Apple people who are like, they're doing LSD.
They just
microdosing and going to work.
So Google is pretty much, I would say, the first psychedelically inspired corporation.
100%.
And you can see it in the way we interact with it.
It's
fucking amazing. You're like, but most of those executives are at Burning Man every year, taking huge amounts of psychedelics. It's phenomenal. It's like and the way they bring that back, and they create this user interactivity.
No, amazing. And it's got to be through that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're joking. Yeah.
No, it's there. So we're seeing the impact, and what I'll bring in a beautiful story. So an executive of this company that we worked with in cannabis, and he built the company up to $24 billion company. And I'm not going to mention his name because I still need to speak to him about it. And they sold out to an alcohol company and invested in them. We always thought pharmaceuticals would come into cannabis first, but alcohol company invested into this company. And he lost control of the board. And he got kicked out because he was expansionist and spending money. He bought us in Lesotho, he bought everywhere, Colombia and everything. And they said, no, we work in North America. We know distribution. We don't like the way you're spending our shareholders' money. You're out.
Yeah.
And he went and invested in a psychedelic company after that. And when I first met him, he was running this huge corporate cannabis corporation, very much capitalist. Very much like collar and tie, not quite tie, but collar and everything, but very much into like how much the company's worth, how much money they've made. after lockdown, I was in a conference call with him. Sorry, on a webinar. We were both presenting.
Zoom, yeah.
Yeah. And he's got a goatee down to here.
And wearing a G-string.
His hair's a bit wild. He's doing yoga every day. He's doing juicing every day. And he's just raised $150 million in a fund to invest in hemp technology, to process hemp, because a lot of the technology that we use for hemp is like old Chinese technology. Nothing's been invested into hemp technology in the last 100 years because it's been illegal.
Yeah.
So he's speaking about why we need to change from synthetic to natural fibers, why we need more natural alternatives. He's speaking for the planet. And I was like, that's plant medicine in practice.
Dude.
And if we can get more of these guys with resources, because if you look at the majority of people who are investing in psychedelics in Canada, they're from mining.
Yeah.
And I know if you invest in a company and you're hearing how good these substances are and how mind-opening and how productive and everything, there's only so long before you're going to try it yourself.
Yes.
And once you've had that experience, you're going to find it very difficult to invest in another mine.
I love it.
Into anything that's abusing resources or people.
I love it.
So the psychedelics is coming, like the plants are coming out, and you speak to shamans who's spreading ayahuasca around the world. They're saying, why have you left the jungle? You used to have to having that. Yeah, you used to have to go to Amazon to take ayahuasca. Now you can get it in Cape Town and Joburg, wherever. And you ask the shamans, why are you out of the jungle? The plant told us at the time.
How crazy.
Yeah, like,
how crazy.
It's time. It is needed. This fast transformation of hearts and minds.
It's wild.
Away from abusing the resources, abusing the planet, abusing the people.
They need to get out now. Yeah.
So those people with the resources, with the investment, to change their investment from extractive to regenerative.
Yeah.
And you look at even the nature of mushrooms besides the psychedelic experience.
Yeah.
What mushrooms or fungus's role in nature is to regenerate, to decompose the wood and the biomass into something that's available now as food.
Right.
Like even the bacteria in our stomach. Like most of what we eat is not. I'll blow your mind here.
Go. Well, you already have, right?
Okay.
I want this never to end.
Do you know your stomach is outside of your body?
I know it does because it protrudes outside of my body. That's the only way I know.
I know it. In our stomach, it's full of bacteria and even fungus and all sorts of things that digest our food. But it's hollow from here to our butthole. There's no membrane that it goes through before it enters in our body. The stomach is a void in a tube that runs from here to our ass.
Yeah.
It's outside of our body. It never goes through a membrane. Never inside of our body. And in that stomach exist all these beneficial bacteria and fungus and everything that decompose, and we eat what they excrete. They digest most of our
what
food.
We need out of it.
And so the bacteria and the fungus are our friends. We would not exist. Most of us, like our bodies is made up of bacteria, not us.
Oh shit. Okay.
So fungus and bacteria.
Made up of bacteria that's not us. Oh, love that. That should make me sleep. I'm gonna have to smoke that whole joint just to get 20 minutes sleep tonight, bro. Bro, I love that. Don't take that the wrong way. Go. Are you kidding? I love that.
No, I mean this is the reality.
Your stomach is not outside yourself unless you have a book like mine, and then that's just from a profile point of view.
This is the reality that we are learning things that are so deep nature.
Right.
Like so we've came to a point when our ego was so powerful that we thought we were above nature.
Yeah.
We thought that we were. Like if you look at the Bible, we had dominion over nature.
Yeah.
And people bastardized that to think we could control nature and we could kill whatever we want. But dominion means we custodians. We've got to work with nature.
Yeah.
We have to look after the garden. We have to nurture the garden.
Yeah.
If God comes back, he's not going to say, what the fuck did you kill? How many factory farms did you run?
Yeah.
How many animals did you abuse?
Yeah.
He's going to say, how did you look after the garden I left you with?
Yeah.
This paradise of everything.
Yeah.
Dominion is not like our control. It's not the ability to choose.
Yeah.
It's a responsibility that we have to nurture nature, nurture ourselves, look after our biome.
Yeah.
Like the
That
gut and
biome,
brain
yeah. No,
link.
I'm
Our immune system is in our gut.
everything.
Our personality, our depression is linked to our gut. Everything.
Yeah,
So
wow,
the
me
more
as
we
well.
can look within.
Yeah.
And again, an analogy that I love to use because it makes people think a little bit is what we do without, we do within. So if we look at our rivers, look at the Diesel River here.
Yeah.
It's fucking clogged up with plastic.
Yeah.
Look at our oceans, clogged up with synthetics, clogged up with plastic. What happens when the ocean can't deal with that?
Bro, I'm going to die with that. It's going to kill me. That'll be...
Inside of us?
Yeah.
Same thing's happening when we're eating synthetics, when we are...
Eating crap.
It's not just flushed out magically, all excreted. It's sitting in our kidneys. It's sitting in our liver. It's sitting in our lymph nodes. So what we do without, we do within. The more we pollute outside of us, the more we're polluting within. So we have to change the way we treat the planet, the way we treat ourselves, if we want to be sustainable.
Right. That is... You're touching on the whole point of the show. I'm going to ask you a big favor. I said earlier on that loo breaks are allowed. So check out how fun this is for you.
Okay.
A couple of comments on there. If you'll carry the show for me.
Whoa.
Just read them. Can you read them? Those there.
Can I turn this thing?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
So just read those. It's not like we're preparing for mass exodus. I'm going to be 2 seconds. So read that cool comment there and I'll be 1 second. And respond to
Which one? Samantha?
Yeah, maybe read it out loud so people who are listening to a podcast can hear what you're asking.
Okay, so Samantha says, I'm loving all this info. Please suffer some ailments, tried oils, but have no idea to self-dose. We truly need some professional cause. No doubt cannabis works via hemp CBD. It's about getting help to dose. So yes, dosage is incredibly important. But I'm going to go back to that taking responsibility for your own healing in some way. Yes, it's a tough one because there are very few professionals who can work with the plant. Like as I said, the way the pharmaceutical industry and the regulatory authorities are set up is the only products that are approved are ones that have been proven through clinical trials. To do clinical trials is hundreds of millions of dollars, not rands, dollars. And to do that, to basically be able to prove that, you've got to be a pharmaceutical company. And the only two products that are available are those ones that cost between 15 and 30,000 rand a month.
Is this the CBD stuff?
So there are two. There's Sativex, which is used for epilepsy, and there's Epidiolex, which is epilepsy. Sativex is for multiple sclerosis.
Right.
So the doctors can't work with it yet because it's they risk their licenses. You cannot believe the amount of people that come to me that say, Tony, like phone me out of the blue. Hey Tony, my name's so and so, and my doctor said I must phone you because you can help me. I'm like, well, I'm not a doctor. I haven't been trained in that. You're like, well, what do you need? And then I've got to go through this whole process of like, okay, hold on, trying to understand. So the only advice I can really give on dosage, especially with THC, is start low, go slow.
You see, microdosing, I told you this.
Yeah. You start with a smaller dose and you build it up until you reach your tolerance.
Yeah.
And slowly, like if it's like you start with 2 milligrams a day and then you move up to like 5 milligrams a day and then like maybe up to 10 milligrams. But it's a process. You want to get to the point, especially if you're taking it every day, where it's a sweet spot between therapeutic value and psychoactivity.
So can I ask you, what's the best way to dose yourself based on a product that you've gotten? First of all, that sometimes comes in a plant form. you know what I mean? What product do you get where you know that I'm now having 2 milligrams in this particular drop, or 3 drops is that? Like,
Yeah, well, that's the COAs that we can now get for most CBD products. So make sure, as I said, you're getting COAs, certificates of analysis with your products, but we don't have that for THC in this country. So I get like people sending me a photo of a syringe of black oil that looks like Marmite. You're going like, hey, Tony, I got this for my mom who's got cancer.
Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, fuck, who did you get it from? No, Ducker Dave. Ducker Dave around the corner. He gave me this oil.
Ducker Dave.
Well, look, if it was my mom, I'm not so sure. But you can, there are good labs. There's one called Cure, Qure,
this is Penny. I don't think you've met her.
No, I don't think I met Penny.
Little Penny.
Qure, they're in...
Qure.
Yeah,
okay.
They're based in Montague. You can send for tests there. So if you get a product, send off to them, and then you'll get an idea of at least how much THC, how much CBD is in the product. And you can then dose accordingly to that.
And how does it normally come? Like dropper form or edible, or like?
Usually the cannabis, like THC tincture, is in a thick, like a black oil. Most guys are doing crude oils.
So that comes in a syringe. Okay, got it.
But again, like the problem is it's sticky.
Oh,
and
shit.
Guys go like, oh, they said I must take a grain of rice.
Oh, right. And it squirts out, and it's
is it tastic rice or long grain rice or basmati? I don't know. It looks about right, and they take it.
Again, rice is so it's such an abstract.
Then next thing they're tripping balls, and they go,
God.
I'm never going to take this again.
I know.
Yeah, like that's the problem. So we have to get to a point where legally we have choice and availability of properly dosed, properly tested products. Yeah. Otherwise, it's one thing if you're a lifetime smoker.
Yeah.
But it's another thing if you're some poor auntie sitting in Belleville in a flat.
Also, who's already a bit dubious about it. Yeah. And got a reservation.
So I've had that. I've been called.
And then you get asked and you fuck them up for life.
To a friend's mom, where we had to literally sit and pray over her all night because she was religious and she thought. Hold on, what's happening? I've taken the devil's weed. I'm not going through all of this guilt, and it's illegal. And she was like,
did you hear the story with Ross from Prime Circle? His dad was house sitting or something like, and his dad got into the fridge, and Ross didn't know. There were like these weed cookies, right? And his dad charred all of them.
Oh my goodness!
Ross didn't realize. So his dad starts going to like palpitations. Like he starts, as you think, as I would if I took one, you're going to die. It's done. Ross doesn't know. He's got his dad in a car. He's running red lights, trying to get into hospital. And I forget how the conversation comes out. Ross tells it so sweetly, and it ends up being a very funny story only. But his dad, he mentioned something like, oh, Ross, you're eating too much sugar. Those cookies that you got in your fridge. And as he said cookies, Ross was like, oh my God.
Look, I mean, everyone who keeps cannabis at home will probably have a similar experience.
Yes, you got to be careful,
sure
damn it,
if you
guys.
had to ask my wife about the green powder that she put in our smoothies once, there might be a similar. Allegedly, there was some story where I got a call saying, "Don't drink the smoothie, Tony."
Oh God! Oh jeez. Well, that's the risk we do run.
So yes, and now at this. Hold on, because we're going to speak about my ripe old age of 47 becoming a first-time father shortly.
Yes, how wonderful!
I need to follow you to.
Oh, you're going? Okay, cool. Okay, I'll take this for a second. I mean, here's the freedom that we have. Okay, let's check some comments. Thank you, Zita. I appreciate it. It's cool. We've got our first in-studio guest tonight, Tony Budden. He's such a legend. He was one of the founding fathers in getting us towards the slow process of legalizing. Which should never have been illegal in the first place. So thank you for listening to this, guys, because it is important. I hope you spread the message. If you're listening still, let me see how many are on here. Oh, wow. I'm blown away that you're still tuned in. Thank you. Could you do me a favor? Will you just click share on your feed? Just let people know about this. I am going to be putting it up onto all the normal podcast outlets, such as like Apple, Deezer, Spotify, all the usual. So it will be up. It should be a little bit better, the audio, because we finally both in studio. For those who are wondering what that freaky guy is over there, that is my teddy. Literally my childhood teddy. I've had that guy since I was 1. And I put like a rock and roll bracelet on him. And so I know some people are freaked out. Oh, why does it say ARD on that? I don't want that. Okay. well, I guess it's too late now. But that's my teddy. And I don't know, is anyone else here as freaked out about clowns and dolls as I am? Because I really am. So I didn't mean to do that, but we have quite a limited studio audience. Except tonight we have Penny and Jeff in the house, and I really think this has been a powerful conversation, bro. And I'm going to claim it right now. And it's not because I've had 2 whiskeys. This has been love to all my muso friends. I love you to pieces. I can't wait to have Khan on again on Thursday. He's also an incredible intellect and character and brain. But this has been by far, and I knew it would be, the most informative that I've been craving to have. And I think judging by the responses, people are agreeing with it and believing it. And sadly for me, it's because it's always been so freaking taboo.
Yeah.
And I told you the story about how I started with Anna, and like the fact that he wasn't. This is Anna freaking Carstens from the New Girls. And me, we're rock stars. You should think we've done everything. We've done the good and the bad of that life has to offer, mainly good. But the fact that we're still scared to talk about psilocybin, to talk about cannabis, is actually an indicator. In fact, and like what happened last week, Con and I we were talking about definitions of atheism and other forms of religion, and being agnostic, etc. Talking, not claiming that we were either, which I still don't. You can't believe the response that we had. They were like, "Oh, it's a big thing." I mean, it's like, what the fuck, guys? Where are we?
We've got to remember that, like it feels like a long time ago, but it's not in the bigger scheme of things.
Yeah.
That anyone who worked with plants and herbs in our culture.
Oh, was it Dagger demon?
No, were burnt at the stake.
Fuck, that is true, bro.
You're like burnt. If you were labeled a witch.
Rare, how bad?
Yeah, up to the 1800s, like even early 1900s in the States, witches. Like look at the Salem stories. Look at the Inquisition. Any woman who knew how to work with herbs, knew how to work with plants, burnt.
Wow.
Like this is our culture, and where we get accused as of like European descent. Where we get accused of not having a culture.
Yeah.
But it was literally burnt out of us.
Dude, and that's, if you really think about 100 years ago or so, it was last week.
Yeah.
Compared to our evolution of how we should be progressing as a humanity and as a society.
You look at going back maybe 500 years before that, and you look at some of the inscriptions on, like definitely on the Egyptian, in the tombs, definitely in ancient Greece, they used psychoactive plants. Like
100%.
They used it in our even the there's a lot of what's the difference between the insect guys and the word guys? Etymologists and entomologists.
Yes, yeah.
I think etymologists are the word guys.
Yes, yeah.
So in the anointing oil that Jesus used, there's a product. There's one of the ingredients is cannabosum, Kanehbosm.
Yeah.
That many of them reckon was cannabis. You rub this oil on your skin.
Very close word.
Yes.
Rhyming.
And you have an experience of being closer to God.
Yeah, of course.
You take psychedelics, the food of the gods. Terence McKenna, one of the
I remember.
Founding fathers of a modern psychedelic movement, or kind of the knowledge around.
Said in Hawaii, didn't he, for the end or something like that?
Yeah, he died a few years ago, but his book, The Food of the Gods, was about the stoned ape theory. That the apes, the primates, ate mushrooms.
And that's how we've developed
mushrooms stimulate our language center. That's how we develop this consciousness.
That is a controversial.
So there's another.
Bro, this thing is we're gonna get shut down here if we start talking about the fact that apes took mushrooms and we are who we are today because of that. Is what his theory is.
There's another thing, DMT quest.
Oh God.
Okay.
Are we even ready to have the dimethyl tryptamate?
DMT quest. We're going to touch on it because
I love
it's
it.
incredibly
What are you talking about? Where are you going?
Important. So, DMT quest. There's a new documentary came out about a month ago. So, in our spinal column, and out of our pineal gland, is a substance called DMT, dimethyltryptamine.
Correct.
So, dimethyltryptamine is one of the most psychedelic experiences you can have. But our brain produces it.
And it's only excreted when you die and when you're born.
They thought
something like that. Okay, go on. I beg your pardon.
So near-death experiences.
Yeah.
In NDE, when people see your life flash before your eyes, you see the golden tunnel, you see beings come to you, you see everything, you feel God. That's
This
the
is DMT.
psychedelic experience,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
DMT.
Yeah.
So DMT is getting released to prepare you for that spiritual
Wow.
crossover.
Wow.
At birth, it gets released when
Yeah.
your spirit comes into your body.
Yes.
Now they found that it's much more prevalent in our brain than we thought.
Right.
It's in our
Spinal
cerebral
cords.
fluid. It's in our spinal cord.
Yeah.
At levels that are almost as much as serotonin and dopamine.
But just have not been triggered at the right.
Well, we know what serotonin does. It makes
Yeah.
us feel good. We know
Yeah.
what dopamine is. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
reward system.
Yeah.
We don't know why DMT is there. And one of the theories that is coming out is that it is what gives us this experience of being more than just pure mammal, more than being animal. We have a sense of what God is. We have a sense that we are expansive and we are creative and we deserve to be more than just
A matter.
matter, like just existing to procreate and eat and fuck and die.
Yeah.
Like, so this substance is in our dream space. It brings us into this creative output and input.
Yeah.
That we dream, we believe we are more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's in our system. It is an endogenous psychedelic.
So you're saying there's now evidence to suggest that it actually
way
exists
more
in us like cancer does. Like cancer's already in us.
Yeah,
and
it's way more
you're saying it's
prevalent than they
prevalent.
thought, that it was just birth and death that it gets released.
Ah, okay.
It's the same thing when you close your eyes in a dark room, or you see those flickers of lights, and you're like press on your eyes. That same kind of thing.
Right.
That DMT is released by our system to make us dream.
Yeah.
To bring magic into our lives, and it is fascinating that it's illegal.
That's wild. Any plants?
No. Plants are one thing because it's outside of us.
Right.
DMT is illegal and we produce it. It's in us. So we are illegal.
Yes.
Our brains are illegal. Our pineal gland is illegal.
We should register our pineal glands to the authorities.
There we go.
Everyone
turn yourself in
Can
tonight.
you show me a pineal license, please?
I've got DMT.
Sorry. Mine expired like 3 months ago. Fuck. Forgot.
I don't know what to do about it, but
not Siri. I said sorry.
So DMT Quest.
Here she is.
Sorry.
I said sorry, not Siri. I know I've got a lisp and I've had some whiskey, but I'm not calling you. Jeez. Okay, calm down. Okay.
So that is super fascinating. That
right.
And again, what they're figuring out is how ayahuasca and mushrooms and even LSD, they all hit what's called the serotonin 2A receptor. Like it's a similar receptor of reward, of expansion in our brain. But whether these substances release the chemicals or bring the chemicals into our body, or if they just allow us to access what's already there.
So if they just block the receptors or open the receptors.
Open the receptor
right.
to, like, those DMTs in us already. So that's why some people who take ayahuasca go to the moon. Yeah. Some people who might have a lower level of DMT naturally, they go like, cheapest, I've had 3 cups of this flippin' vile tasting brew and I'm
So talk me through. So I've got a little bit of my journey, which is it's only my journey, as it always is. I did San Pedro, loved it. Like, do I need to do it again? Maybe not. Ever in my life, it's all environmental and what's a safe environment, time and place, whatever. Maybe again, who knows? It's not something I crave. That's the beautiful thing about these plant things, including psilocybin, which I'll tell you again in years, well over a year. But I'm petrified of ayahuasca. Petrified. Like, for some reason, it's got this connotation of San Pedro is a light thing. So I did it hiking on a mountain, and there wasn't visions, but like there was like light stuff happening, and every time I went to do full lotus on every hot rock I could find. And I was like, and I believe it or not, I'm not that hippie, guys. But I went to do full lotus. I was like, I was like, it was releasing beautiful stuff. It was fucking powerful. It was beautiful. One of the best, maybe the best experience of my life. Now, the flip side to that, and people have said that, because you also purge when you do ayahuasca, and then you just go to hell and you see what your forefathers did, etc. All these other maybe terms that I've been falsely misled to now believe or furnish my belief system. Do you know what I mean? But I'm petrified of that. Again,
so I would say that in some ways that is a rational response to be scared.
Okay.
Because you got to look at your shit. You're like, with the psychedelic experience and the healing experience, you have to be prepared to see what you need to see. And some of us don't want to see
I'm
what's
so
in
scared.
there.
I don't
You're
want to
like,
see. I'm too scared.
some
Tony.
of you're like, we'd rather keep it hidden.
Yeah.
But one of the Jungian, so Jung was a very famous psychotherapist and spoke a lot about our shadow selves.
Right.
So that we all have shadow. We all want to be good in some way, most of us.
Yes.
But
we all got a dark side.
There's a question. What would you rather be? Good or whole?
Okay, go on.
You can't just be light or good.
Okay.
There is always a shadow. There's the yin and the yang, the light and the dark. And if you're purely trying to be good the whole time, you are resisting or denying that you have a shadow, that you have part of you, that we as humans have the capacity to be the rapist, the thief, the liar, at the same time
it's like
as
the comedian
the saint,
who always
the
is
lover,
hysterical, but have got the manic depressants.
Yeah.
Is that right?
We have both sides in us.
Yeah.
Always. And what you resist persists. What you say, I'm not. If you hear people say, I never lie, I'm not a liar, I will never lie.
That means they are nurturing a lying beast.
There's something that they're denying about themselves.
Dude, that is so powerful. I can't believe I ever asked you the question because now you fucked me up completely. Now I have to take... I was good tomorrow night. What are you doing later?
Yeah. So
how long are you staying here for?
Process of
Please will you hold my hand, Tony?
Going through the shadow work, going through experiencing that deep work of going in and going, hold on, that's in me. And there's the beautiful analogy again of you're like, you have to love the part of yourself that you hate. You have to accept it.
Dude, you're killing me. You're killing it. So true. I love it.
You have to accept it. Otherwise, it will always be there in the background. It's like the analogy.
Dude, say that again. Say that again. You have to love the part of yourself that you hate.
Yeah. Where you say, I'll never do that. I'll never be.
It's killing me because
I'll never be I'll never cheat on anyone.
Yeah, I'm not a liar. I'll never lie.
Yeah.
All these things.
How can you do that? How can you judge someone who lies to save their children, or kills to save their children?
Correct.
But you don't know what they've been through. So one of the most important lessons in my life, and it was hard won through a long relationship with a woman who fucked me up.
Yeah.
But hard won. And I will love her for this.
Shout out to all you women who do that to us. Thank you.
Is the difference between judgment and discernment.
Yes.
Okay.
Love that.
So you can discern that someone is no longer on the same path as you.
Yes.
Without judging them.
Correct.
Because you don't know what journey they took.
Correct. It's the ultimate...
end up with them acting in that way.
Yeah.
You think that they're acting in that way against you, but no, they're acting in that way against the wound of the father or something that happened to them when they were like 5, or you're like, it's got nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
But you can still discern. Thank you. I appreciate the lessons, but you're no longer in the same route as me.
Right.
I'm cutting you out.
Correct.
And that's a very important lesson in life, because judgment you carry.
Yes.
Judgment, you will go like, you did this to me.
Yeah.
But in essence, they're not doing it to you.
It's the same as offense. Only you can be offended.
Yeah.
Only you can choose to be offended.
You give them the power.
Correct. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
I really...
and forgiveness is the same.
Bro, it's the same analogy. Like you carry... It was cool. My mom told me this a long time ago. This was from one of her little Bible study groups that she went to, which is cool. And they did the analogy of forgiveness is like walking around with a corpse on your back, and eventually it's going to rot into you. Do you know what I mean? And that's what unforgiveness is. Sorry. If you think about that, so if you carry that on your back, it's a dead body.
Yeah.
It's eventually going to rot into you, and then you become that forever. That's a cool little little visual. So it's the same as offense. Like if you're gonna you
can only choose to forgive.
I'm not going to carry that around with me.
Yeah.
Which actually goes for our humanity right now. We are such an offended fucking world at the moment. It's
snowflake.
Sorry.
Syndrome.
It's so bad. But you know what I mean? So it's the same thing. Only we can choose to do all these things.
Forgiveness is no one can earn your forgiveness. You can only choose to give it.
Correct. And choose to be offended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone can be the best partner ever, but if you don't trust them, you don't trust them. You're like that's they can't earn that.
But then I love your explanation of discernment. You know what I mean?
Judgment.
Versus judgment, because judgment is as prevalent as it's ever been.
Yeah.
And we are all guilty of it, by the way.
None of us know what the other person's gone through to get to that point.
Correct. And this touches on another thing called human nature, which I'm sure you're very aware of. but human nature loves nothing more than to see someone else fail.
Yeah.
We love it. I promise you, we can say that we've transcended a million times away. There's a certain part of us that goes, when we watch someone crumble, there's a part of us that gets niggled and tickled.
There's another side to that.
Please go on. I'm just here to nurture
another
my,
movie
my
called
guests.
I Am.
Okay, by who?
I Am by Tom Shadyac. He was the director
Tom
of Pets. What's it? Pet Detective.
Yeah.
He directed a lot of comedies.
Okay.
So Tom Shadyac had a fall on his mountain bike, got severely concussed, and went into Great Depression.
Whoa, okay.
And he made a movie called I Am, where he traveled around the world.
I'm going to watch this tonight.
Trying to find out what was wrong with the world, but ended up finding what was right in the world. And there's a great segment in the middle, which first of all shows you like how we are hardwired for sympathy. When you see a guy on a skateboard trying to jump onto a rail, and falling on his nuts, what happens?
We laugh immediately.
No, but also there's
we cringe. You're right. Yes.
Or you see people like hurting themselves. And then you watch a video of a father who's like been in Iraq coming back to his son, and he's surprising his son in school.
Yeah.
And you see that interaction with this kid just going like, wow, like running to his father and hugging him, and you go like, fuck, that's beautiful. And like things that make you cry. And it's point is how hardwired we are actually to feel, to have empathy, to feel someone else's pain.
Yes, all right.
Feel someone else's pleasure.
Example to that,
Even though there's a lot of our ego that takes pleasure in other people's failures.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Deep down, we are hardwired to take joy in other people's joy, to take pleasure in other people's love, to feel other people's pain, to have sympathy. It's in us. It's really deep.
I don't think it's one or the other.
Yeah.
I think we're able to do all of it. I think we definitely empathize, and we definitely have that beautiful part, but there's also a part when you see someone fall on ice. It's fucking funny, bro.
It's the ego.
It's funny. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you look like a doos, but it's like...
I tell it to you, which usually is instant karma. You're the next fucker.
Exactly.
You're like, you laugh at that guy.
Totally.
Next thing it's you.
No. There's no question about the comic repercussions of that. But it's within all of us, and I think it's important for us to realize that. And kind of going back to what we've been talking about, these plant medicines also then wrap us on the knuckles. And they go, especially like the people who disrespect the dosage. And even, I'll even qualify that by saying, even if you do, it's the best lesson you'll ever have in your life. If you do too much mushrooms, too much fucking anything, when you freak out badly, like I did when I was 19, it took me so fucking long to recover, but it defined everything that I am today. If you think about that. So it was actually still good. It just took me a fucking long time to realize the benefits of it.
So I'll do some disclosure here that I've done, I don't know, maybe 12 to 15 ayahuasca sessions.
Okay.
And not for the last like 4 or 5 years. I did it over my 30s mostly, and I did it probably once every 6 months as a reset.
Okay.
So the best analogy I can use for those sessions is like you've been running your computer for 6 months without shutting down once.
Yes.
Every Excel spreadsheet is open, every web page is open, all your Word docs are open, they're all running, but they're all taking CPU like power, even though you haven't looked at them for maybe 3-4 months. They're running in the background. So when you take the medicine, when you drink the tea, and the psychoactivity starts, it's like everything comes up.
Yeah.
You're like, so you have this process where you start going, shit, this thing's there, this thing's not responding, do you want to save? This thing is like there, do you want to shut this down? Do you want to shut this down?
Wow.
But they all come up, they shows you all these things that are running in the background. And then eventually that comes on so thick and fast, all these thoughts, all these things that are running in your mind at the same time, that your switches trip.
Yeah.
You get to a point where it just goes, woof, you can't possibly process it anymore.
Yeah.
And you get to this deep still space. And again, that's like the ego death.
Yes.
Because the ego is those things that are thinking about all these things all the time. What am I in the past? What am I in the future?
Judging your every
regrets
action.
Or anxiety about the future. You're like all of this kind of happening.
Yeah.
And you're just in this pure moment of presence. You're like you're there. You're not your body. You're not this ego. You're not thinking about the past. You're not thinking about the future. You're just in this still moment. And you go, okay, like as close as you feel to death, that's the most alive you'll ever feel.
Yeah. How long does it take you on average to kind of go back to your old norms, if that makes sense? If that's
Afterwards, well, so then there's a process when you come through that still point where these things you go through and you start you being able to see again, being able to hear again, and it goes like, do you want to reinstall this? Like maybe for me often, obviously it's like you're not spending enough time with your parents.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to reinstall the parental contact software?
Right.
Yes, I want to reinstall that.
Oh, cool.
Do you want to reinstall
was it defrag or refrag on the old computer?
Like defrag?
Is it refrag?
Or even before that, there was this button on the early monitors, the degausser. I don't know if you remember degausser. If you had early monitors used to be really affected by magnetism. So if you had a speaker next to you, you'd get these like funny colors on the side of the monitor. You push it and the whole monitor goes and shakes off all the magnetism.
Why did I know that? I'm older than you.
No. I've just looked good to it. I'm taking mushrooms. Functional mushrooms. I'm on reishi, cordyceps, lion's mane, pretty much every day. It's a whole other level of...
A little bit of a ayahuasca art treatment that I tried.
So, like this reinstalling of the software that you want to install. So you rebuild yourself almost.
Beautiful.
And then the key
like when you get a new iPhone, do you redo exactly what you had, or do you just start from app 1?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe a few photos you'll bring in because you want those memories.
Photos are in the cloud, unfortunately.
But then the key to all of this is your integration into your life.
Yeah.
How do you bring this knowledge back into your life? How do you make sure that the lessons you've learned you actually apply?
Yeah.
So what happened to me after a few times of doing it? There's a conversation that you're having with the medicine, whether it's with your subconscious or with an entity or whatever. It would be, Tony, what are you doing back here? You know what to do.
Right.
We're not going to take you to the next level until you apply what we taught you.
Right. Is this what you found after a couple of
doubles? It's like, we'll show you some pretty lights if you want to see some visuals or whatever. But the reality is, apply what you know you need to do. Yes. And for me, it's quite physical, a lot of the stuff, because I'm quite grounded naturally. But it's like, do your meditation, live in your heart space, do your juicing, do your qigong. Those kind of things. If I do that, my life flows.
What is that word, qigong? What the fuck is that?
Qigong is...
what is that? Tell us. Are you
joking? So it predates Tai Chi. It's a breathing and movement exercise from Chinese lineage.
How often do you practice it?
I try to do it like a good couple of times a week, but you can do it every day. But it's literally, so chi is your life force.
Yes. When you play those video games, you get your chi.
Yeah, exactly. Your life force. But in real life, a lot of it comes through breath.
Yes.
So it's about breathing. And so qigong is the movement of life energy through your body.
I love that.
So you do like a lot of like...
Oh, cool. So it's like Tai Chi, but it's breath related.
Yeah, it's not like trying to learn a sequence of
movements. It's just breath.
It's a lot of breathing, and your hands and your movement mimic what's energy is moving in your body. So you have what's called the psychic loop. When you're breathing in, your energy comes up the back of your spine, and when you're breathing out, it goes down the front of your spine. So it's in, out.
I love that.
Connects with the sky and the universal energy. Out connects with the earth and the grounding energy.
I've seen there's been quite an adoption or should I say focus on breath work in this day and age, especially with the anxiety that we're going through of our high levels. I've never seen more breath, like Film Off is one of them. All my traumas diving in ice cold pools. God bless him. I'll join you soon. I've done it once. Mark Bureau threw me into my pool at 6 o'clock one morning in the middle of winter. I was like, 20 minutes, freaked out. Love it. Believe in the power of it. I really believe in all of it. I really do. But what I wanted to go back with quickly on your mention of chi, and here's a cool story. Tell me if you've heard of it or agree or disagree with the sentiment. So, what are they called? Centennials, people who live to over 100. Yeah. Right? I think they're called centennials, not millennials. That's our people who love avos too much.
Centenarians.
Centennials. I don't know. We could probably Google it for us or not. I don't know. But I watched a great thing. Actually, very cool. I'll share it unashamedly. I watched Zac Efron's documentary on Netflix. So whether you love or hate him, Zac Efron did a really cool show called something that people are going to put in the comments. And I watched all of it. And what they did is they went to Italy, to one of the islands where they've got the highest, like there's a heat map of the Centennials, the Centurionians,
I think it's
the
called the
Centaurians.
Blue,
Yes, correct. Yeah.
yeah.
And they went, and this actually wasn't revealed in that particular. Down to Earth. There we go. Thank you,
Yes, thank
Zita,
you.
you legend. Love you. I mean, who needs a Jamie in the background working computers when you got your friends and fans
There
doing
we
everything
go.
for you? Thank you, Zach Efron. Down to Earth, really good. Yeah, I mean, so but what I actually realized before he did this little expose on how they lived to over 100. What I did find is when they've interviewed in the past, I'm talking like 20 years of my recollection, there's a common thread that really took my attention. And they all said, like, what do you do? Like, oh, I'm vegan, or like, oh, I'll walk 18 kilometers a day. What do? Fine. None of them common. The craziest commonality that I found, and I detected, I'm not going to say by myself, I'm sure other people have noticed this, but they all said they don't fucking hang with negative energy. So think about this. If you talk about your chi factor, remember as a video game, if you come, we've all got mates in our life who have drama, and we've got to be there for them. Don't get me wrong, but when
You also have energy vampires.
energy vampires, dude, this is a whole nother conversation. When you also are kind and are always with them,
What kind, my bro?
what kind, Nick said? You're only depleting your own chi, and that's where I relate the chi thing. Does that make sense? Can you?
Absolutely.
Can you think of it? We all have a life force, right?
Yeah.
Chi being breath and everything. But when I hang out with you tonight, when you leave, bro, I've plus 10 my whole fucking jaw. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? So like, I leave you like feeling amped. You've given me this most beautiful gift. I'm gonna sleep like a legend. And then you get your Debbie Downers, which is a wonderful SNL skit. Do you remember her?
Yes.
Brilliant. Check out Debbie Downer SNL.
There's people who
just
take your chi.
And from the moment they sit down, they go, "Oh, you know what? It's official. The doctor just told me I can never have kids again." Like, fuck! It's like, I'm so sorry. It's terrible. It's sad, but how often do you want to indulge it in your life?
And then there's another level on with healing, and this is a classic issue with a lot of my people. Like especially in our space where the dealers have had to become the healers.
Yes.
So people who've grown up like growing weed and they know how to grow good plants, and all of a sudden people are coming to them to heal their cancer,
right,
or deal with this, and they've never actually had the training, in how to do that without giving their own chi, how to let it flow through them.
Yes. So they feel very depleted afterwards.
Yeah, very depleted, because you take it all on instead of seeing it as you're like a mechanic and this is a engine you're working on and you're trying to heal. You're giving your own energy all the time, and that's a training. That's why doctors take 7 years to learn to see it and separate it. Its mechanism,
which a lot of doctors don't. Especially in this day and age, they're fucking out badly.
And then there's the inverse of that, where you also have what's called the Messiah complex.
Yes,
where a lot of shamans that get that, where people come to, thank you so much, you saved my life, you changed everything, say that to you, and you go like, oh, it's me giving the healing instead of
not the plants.
I'm plants working through you, or nature's working through you. So you become like this God complex that I'm now the healer.
And you can understand how easily that can be.
And then when you get in that, then it also becomes a chi drain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
While we're speaking about this, there's a friend of mine I just see on here, Reno. Okay. I know he is sitting in hospital at the moment. He's had multiple operations. And I just want to send you some chi and some healing. And thank you so much, my bro. It would be around about this time now that we would be heading off to the desert for Africa Burn, and Reno plays the most amazing tunes, and we've had so many good times. So I wish you speedy healing, my bro, and hope to see you back on your feet and back with us. Hope to be able to play on the playa soon with you again.
Dude, I remember the last time I saw you there. It was super brief. That's how Africa Burn is. You hang out for, and you were saying earlier the plant allows you to do things. Do you agree? I wanted to say, do you agree that when you go to Africa Burn, and again, I'm not that fucking hippie. I'm not the guy who goes to Lotus on a hot dog. Like, I promise you. But when I went to
on San Pedro.
Unless it's San Pedro, thank you, Uncle Pedro. I fucking loved it. But the first time I went to, this was the 2 years before I saw you that time, I was the one who surrendered. I was like, well, it's not going to happen unless the desert tells you to.
Yes.
I didn't realize the strength of that, bro. Same as you have shared that, like, you've been led by the plant and been led by, whatever kind of deities, if you think it is. If you just surrender to that. And I couldn't believe what I was telling people. I was like, well, the desert didn't allow me. I was going, who the fuck are you? And that, again, that's old conditioning that I even had that conversation.
No, well, nature. I mean, it's we have been separated from our natural selves. And this is what the psychedelic medicine is so much about. You're like, is a reconnecting with our natural selves, with nature, that we are not separate. You know, we are part of it. It is part of us. And we're not this, like, humanity is not this uber creation. You're like, I was watching a documentary on octopuses this morning. You know, how intelligent they are, and the brain power, and that they've got, you know, like, more neurons in them than cats have. Yeah. Yeah, and we see these things as being...
Wasn't my octopus teacher, right? Was it?
No, that was
like another one.
Just another...
Hadn't one recently passed, like, a test that, like pre-primary school kids could
exactly.
do? Wasn't that just came out the other day?
So we have these beings around us, and we have, again, this dominion or this custodianship of the garden, but it's elevated us to believe that we are separate from nature. Yeah. That we're separate from the earth. Yeah. And if we truly believe that, which most people do, that we are above it, we don't respect it in a way. Yeah. You know, like, and that's what's causing this discontent, this deep, like, sense of anxiety, because we don't feel we belong. We don't feel we're part of this. And I mean, what the fuck are we doing trying to set up something on Mars? I mean, those pictures are amazing. I don't know if you saw the first panorama.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. It looks amazing, but I'm telling you now, life on Earth has to get a shitload worse before that looks like the better option.
Yeah, like, I know.
There are many other environments besides the deep Sahara Desert that would be easier to live in than that.
I know, but
if that is our only hope, people must know that this place is going.
No, but we are fucked. I'm sorry, Tony. I really want the plants and all that to tell all of us that we're good, but like my mission can't help but think that we are in really big trouble. Rena, you legend. Check this out. Here we go. What a pleasure. Are you kidding me? To be able to bring people like this together and you guys watching is the greatest honor that I can think of.
There's a beautiful pic, him and Fraser, very good friend of mine. Fraser I first met in the army, actually. As I said, I was a medic in the army. I was the last year to be conscripted. 6 days.
Oh, bro, you 47, eh?
Yeah.
I'm 46. They dropped him on a trick year, bro. Sorry, dude.
The last 6 days into our basic training, they told us if we'd waited one more year, we wouldn't have had to come.
Bro, I was 46. I made it like this. I had my Navy paper signed. I was going, and they were like, man,
Navy was cool. I was sent to Fort Tricker to the medic, but I learned a lot. And I made friends like Fraser.
Again, this goes back to my LSD story. Yeah. I learned everything because of it. So I think it's a kind of a recurring factor is that people must also realize that every the hardship that they've been through, every shit experience, everything defines you for who you are today. Every failure, every success. I know that's expanding a little bit. But it's the truth. You know what I mean? Defines who you are today, and it's
the lessons again, and that difference of judgment and discernment.
Yeah, I love that. Love that shit.
People come into your life to teach.
Oh, dude, that is my philosophy. The amount of times I've shared this. If you go out, I have to do this. You've excited me, and we are now almost a half a bottle of whiskey deep, and what took us so long. Don't worry, I've had most of it, so no judgment on my guest here.
Unless someone's got to drive home over.
No, you're sleeping over, definitely. You're definitely sleeping over. No, now you made me forget what I was going to say. Oh, fuck.
Everyone's a teacher.
Everyone's a teacher. It's one of my greatest. Bro, if you approach life that everyone is your greatest teacher, not, okay, maybe greatest, but an important teacher. So you go into a car park and some car guard is pissing the hell out of you, or someone bumps into your trolley in the supermarket, fucking anyone. If you have the approach of going, okay,
what can this person teach?
Correct. And as males, I'm a bluff male, bro, and it's so weird. People have asked me, like, how many fights have I gotten into? How many, bro? Don't be that doers and punch me on air. I've never been hit, and I've never hit anyone in my life.
That's amazing. Coming from the bluff.
God, that was the worst thing to ever tell people, because I was just going to come up to you and go, I'm your friend. But I've never clapped anyone, and I'm losing track of this. If you get anyone as a teacher, anyone that you meet in any environment, if you just step back and instead of responding to it, so that's where I was going with this, is we have such bravado, male ego that we've been brought up to for so many reasons to have to defend our honor, etc., etc. It's fine. I understand that. But if you step away from them and go, hold on, why did that tweak me? So my natural response is to blix in the soak immediately. Yeah. If you take one step back from them and go, what kind of a day did they have? Why are they being so rude? If you take 2 seconds to analyze And you can actually take pity on almost anyone instantly.
Yeah.
And pity is the wrong word.
Empathy.
Correct. I agree. I totally agree. Pity is the wrong word. But you can empathize almost immediately with why that person has been reactive. Mainly, it wasn't ever directed at you. It was their shit time. It was the XYZ. But what a tool to have in life.
Yeah.
When you meet anyone, you go, wow, that rubbed me the wrong way. But what have I learned?
It wasn't actually against me.
Correct.
Yeah.
Same as offense. Only you can choose to take it, you know?
The same when you understand ego.
Yeah.
That you are not actually dealing with that person's true self.
Yes.
You're dealing with this concept that they have of who they're supposed to be, how they're supposed to
Correct.
react.
But if you think about our years of conditioning that we've been brought up with,
it's
again,
my ego against your ego.
It's a bravado, brutish society, especially the male side of it, I will say. Like, we've been brought up to believe that we need to fuck everyone up.
Yeah.
That is how we've been brought up. If you think about it, bro. Even if you don't think about it, that's what it is.
Like, and as painful as it is, us being pale males, we're experiencing the death of the power of the pale male. We are living through the final throes of
thank God
of that.
Yeah.
And as a pale male to experience that, obviously there's pain that's attached to it because but ultimately it's a good thing.
The death of ego needs to happen long ago. And again, if you literally just as an exercise adopt that into your daily interaction with life, that everyone is a teacher.
Yeah.
Bro, I must tell you, I can claim that I haven't had road rage. I'm sure I've lost it a few times in 10 years.
Yeah.
In 10 years, bro, I haven't had. You know why? First of all, I've got a weird little game that I play in my mind, and it's so long forgotten. Siri, don't. Siri. So long forgotten that I. So I'd leave my driveway, and I go, if there isn't a taxi hurtling down the road with a flamethrower shot at me, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
That's where that's my benchmark of driving. So if someone cuts in front of me, I'm like, that's hysterical.
Yes.
First of all, I'm very lucky. I'm never anywhere in a rush at all, ever. I wake up at 9, and my first meeting. If someone wants me to be there early, I go, okay, I could do it 10:30. But I'm like, fuck, I have to leave at 9:30.
So you got the tides to worry about, but that's like a 6-hour gap.
So first of all, these poor taxis who are delivering people at ungodly hours, getting home after the longest day in the world, trying to get their third shift on, really.
I had the same thing this morning. A taxi pulled in front of me, and I was on the way to Muizenberg for a surf at 7 o'clock, and I'm like, this fucker's trying to get people to work, and he's like in front. Dude, I'm like, who would I be to hoot at the O or swear at the guy when I'm going for surf and they're going off to work at 7 o'clock?
But not only that, again, this is a chi depletion again.
Yeah.
So all you're doing is fucking your own chi up by reacting like that. Just go, bro, please can I slow down? And I'm sorry, even if you stop in the middle of me for 2 seconds and I have the cars to go around me so you can drop this poor person off from somewhere who they have to walk another fucking 10 kilometers to get anywhere.
No.
So and I must say, as a road rage thing for me, as a concept, I'm like, if I don't see hurtling tanks coming towards me with fucking flamethrowers, driving is fun.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I'm a Grand Theft Auto freak. I love playing these games. So for me, it's like a dodge. Like when you see oaks walking in the road, which they shouldn't be, and I'm sorry, they're desperate. They're trying to make money.
They don't have a car.
Instead of hooting and freaking out,
have to be in the car behind you.
I'm playing dodgems. I'm going, I just for me, life is a video game. I'm like, wow, that is freaking nuts. And the fact that the taxi hasn't literally T-boned me, anything short of that is not offensive. And I think there's so many tools we can apply to our lives that can just help us get through it a lot easier. From the everyone is your greatest teacher, that taxi cuts in front of you from the person's.
You just reminded me of Tom Robbins, author. I think Jitterbug Perfume. I think was him. Anyway.
Yeah.
It is a grave and serious injustice to take oneself too seriously.
I love that. May that be the statement of the night.
Don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, and life.
Like it's we're here to enjoy it, and we're here to enjoy the messiness. Like I went through a period again before I got into a bit of shadow work and understanding that shadow integration and shadow work is as important as light work and trying to be good. And like I had a messy 20s and it was awesome. And I flipping it reminded me of another quote the other day. That was I think I'm going to get into politics, but not because I want to be a politician. It's because someone we'll dig into my history and I'll finally find out what the hell I did in my 20s.
I love that.
But you know, like the 20s was messy and beautiful and glorious and
It's so
fucking
forgotten.
wild. And you know, like I thought that I had a lot to try and make up for when I kind of got out of that, and I thought I had to try and be good all the time and try and make things right with whoever, you know, like creator being, and before understanding, no, it's just, you know, like we are here to experience it all.
Yeah.
We came from source,
Yeah.
and we will turn to source, and source is beautiful and it's light and it's everything, you know, like everything in one. But while we're here on this earth, we're here to experience the darkness, the loneliness, the anxiety, and the joy and the love and the bliss and everything. That's the human experience, these polarities. And if we just try and limit ourselves to just being good, or, you know, just accept, you know, just being bad, and, you know, like we're limiting this beautiful human experience.
Dude, but that goes deeper to what you're saying, because you're saying it's sort of obsessing over just that, of it. Like, so I obsess on trying to be kind. The show's called What Kind. But then you said earlier on in this is that often, like, what you're obsessing on is your shadow work is what you're talking about, right? That's trippy, bro. We need to talk about that a lot.
You don't obsess on it. You accept it, that you have it in you in order not to act it out.
Right.
That's the thing. If you
we just we ordered. I forgot we're ordering sushi, bro.
Oh.
I was wondering why I was starting to see three of you, just because we haven't had dinner. It could have been. Just
such a beautiful time to be alive.
I know, right?
So excited.
Oh, I think we've missed the sushi drop.
Angie, thank you.
Come on, guys. Last order. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do it undercover through an app. What else? Thai food.
I'm flexitarian. So I've learned not to be a fascist with self or others.
Thank you.
Yeah, like one topic we haven't touched on that is, like at the ripe old age of 47, I'm about to become a father for the first time.
I heard. Congratulations, brother.
Congrats.
You. Yes. Mazel tov, bro.
And in my preparation, actually, I did my first hero dose of mushrooms.
Okay.
So I've done...
How is preparation?
So I've done mushrooms over the years, and definitely a lot in my 20s. A gram here, 2 grams here, whatever. You like bits and pieces at a festival in amongst probably a poly drug environment. You like alcohol and whatever else. And this was my first time going, besides ayahuasca, going into the mushroom experience. And my intention originally was, if I'm getting into the business of promoting this, of telling people, that it's a good thing, I want to experience it myself, even though that's not necessary. Like doctors don't have to experience morphine to know it's a good thing. But I did it because I know that the birth experience is going to be pretty similar. We having a home birth.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like hospitals at this time, in the time of COVID.
Check it. Hold on, we live. Hold on one second. So, hello.
Yes, hi, Bowtie speaking. How may I help you?
Hi, Bowtie in Hut Bay. Thank you guys for making amazing Thai food. We live on a podcast right now. So before I give my phone number away, I don't know what to do. We want to order some food. Are you still open for delivery?
Yes, of course we are.
Thank you, man. You guys are legends. Any Thai food preference that you have, Tony?
Can I please have a pad Thai? Chicken pad Thai.
Chicken pad Thai.
None of us are in like, oh, I'm so bored. I know exactly where my life's going, and I'm in the corporate ladder and whatever.
Yeah.
Your life is changing so fast.
Yeah.
So we all having to use the tools that we've amassed in our life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether like it's
our friendships and experiences,
versatility, it's our resilience, whatever. We're digging deep and we're using our tools.
Yeah.
And all of these kind of things, like this birthing experience, I know is going to be like full on.
Dude.
Like I'm having to take the responsibility. Dude. I'm not giving it to a doctor or a nurse or whatever. I'm there.
Listen, don't game. Both of you are, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm creating the setting.
Of course.
We've both set our intentions. I've got to create the setting that allows my wife to have the most comfortable, safe, and loving environment to have an uncomplicated birth.
Can you imagine that of all the things that you've accomplished in your life, when that happens successfully, beautifully? Can you imagine that sense of joy, dude? Oh my God.
No,
I'll
I'm
actually
like-
get emotional if I say that one more time again.
I'm at the rare opportunity for a guy where even though I'm a little bit older and I know in my 60s I'm still going to have a teenager and that's going to have its own challenges.
Yeah.
But I'm as ready as I'll ever be. And I know
No,
in
bro.
my 30s I wasn't ready.
No, but I can see this whole age thing as well.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm saying it because I also haven't had a child
Yeah.
yet, and I'm almost your age. But when your time is your time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I also know for a fact I dedicated my 30s
Yeah. To the good fight.
to the good fight and to living.
Mm-hmm.
More than I could dedicate my 60s to doing that if my kids were already out the house. So a lot of my
Correct.
friends are like, oh, you're only starting now. My kids are already 15
bro,
and they're going to be
bro.
out the house when I'm
To
60.
them, I say, fuck you, I'm sorry.
Oh,
you're
okay,
dead
well, what are
right.
you going to do then? You're going to go on a cruise? You're going to go on some Contiki, not
Fucking with
Contiki,
your-
but
with
you're
your
like go
adult
to,
nappers.
what's that?
I mean,
Mauritian, like those resorts. Where in my
Oh.
30s, I was flipping, fighting the fight. I was going to festivals. I was traveling hard. I was doing everything as well as I could, as hard as I could.
yeah.
And
totally.
I'd rather dedicate my 50s and 60s to bringing up children. And I know as well as,
Right.
I think being close to, financially independent, that I'll have more time for
Correct.
him.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you're not hustling anymore.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if you've been smart, which I know you are and have
Yeah.
been, you can actually sit back and
there's a chance.
your one good hip will be able to.
As long as I can take a bit of a tackle at 60, I'll be okay. Keep surfing, more
Good
yoga.
luck, good luck when they
Yeah.
get to 7. They start tackling from
Yeah.
across the room. You're like,
No, no.
damn it!
Like
Can't
my,
you see I'm 60 stunning?
my one buddy did say, babies is a young man's sport. I'm worried about the lack of sleep. I'm worried about uppies. You're like uppies. Like,
Uppies,
no,
oh,
I'm
God.
sore, my back's sore.
I'm
You know,
gonna use my
please.
core strength.
Yeah. Go to your mother.
Yeah, exactly.
Your mother's, she can handle it.
100%. I think it's beautiful, bro. Guys, this has been, I kid you not, it's been one of my favorite interviews I've had. By a landslide. People are
3
loving it.
days. Wow, Victoria. Hold on. I was in labor for
Okay,
3
yeah,
days.
here we go. Any medication plus it was natural. There we go. Water
There we
birth.
go.
So,
Well done.
Listen here, there are many accounts of what you've chosen to do that are good.
Hey, there's Kevin Dace.
Where? There we go. Here we go.
It's also hanging in St. Francis. What was the one above that?
I don't know.
Owned
this
by
one.
an awesome interview on childbirth. Seems you need to speak to Ola. Oh, yes. So
Ola.
Olas is a friend of ours. Ollie, he actually, I did see him and I did speak to him.
Yeah.
And he just loved home birth and he loved going through that experience with his wife. And he actually said it was, like one of the most amazing experiences of his life.
Yeah.
To go through that, the messiness and the
right.
joy and the,
All of it.
the
It's so
humanity.
animalistic and
Yeah.
just beautiful. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No, I mean, I actually got the message that I'm supposed to do 2 more hero doses before he comes, but I'm running out of time. I don't want to be
wasted one
get
night
the-
with fucking Aunt
like,
Matthews
take
in
the
a-
dose
in a
and then
class.
get the call like,
Bro, I happen to have some mushrooms right here if you'd like some. Let's do it right now.
you're like, oh, I'm in labor. Can you come back now?
You're like, I'd
hold
love
on.
to. I'll just,
Yeah,
I'm,
like-
I'm just gonna turn my shoes into
Yeah.
helicopters quickly.
No, it's a beautiful life, and it's, as I said, we're here to experience the messiness and the beauty and the
Yeah, the
darkness
chaos.
and the shadow, and and just to love it all and to love ourselves and accept ourselves, and no judgment. As I said, be perfect. You're perfectly entitled to discern when someone's no longer on the path,
Yeah.
the same path as you.
Yeah.
But judgment's going to eat you away. Like blaming
Yeah.
someone else for your position
Yeah.
or what they did to you. It's not what they did to you. It's what you allowed to happen to
you.
to
Bro.
you. Like it's
Bro,
Yeah.
you could not be speaking more of my language entirely. And people, I'd love those who want to resonate with this message to take it on, because so many people are carrying grievances based on how they allowed it to affect them. When actually, at all stages, they didn't realize that if they had the tools enough, that didn't have to affect them. And we are so bound by it. We actually do subsequent actions as a result of our not having dealt with that correctly in the moment. And we're all guilty of it.
It reminds me of another little story of
Yes,
2
please.
monks who are walking along and they come across a little stream that's flooded, and there's a woman standing there who can't cross the stream.
Yeah.
Old woman. Oh no, I don't think she was old, but a woman.
Age is a number.
Yeah. And the one monk says, "Can I carry you across the stream?" And she says, "Yes, please." So they go across. He carries her across the stream.
Go.
And they get to the other side. He puts her down.
I'm coming now. This is our food.
Okay.
Okay. I'll be there now.
He puts her down on the other side, and they walk on, the two monks. And about 10 minutes later, the other monk says to him, "Brother, what were you doing there? You shouldn't have picked up that woman. We're not supposed to touch women." And he says, "Well, my brother, I put her down 10 minutes ago. You still carrying her." We do things.
Exactly.
But it's what you carry, that meaning, what it makes for you, what it means to you.
Yes.
And you don't need to carry that guilt.
That's a great story, bro.
No judgment of self or others.
Bro, it's rad. It's rad as fuck. I believe that. Do you feel like carrying this on with some comments? I'll be 3 minutes as I get the food from the gate. So check out. Let me throw this away. I'm gonna let you have your own podcast for a second. Check out.
Yeah.
So can you see at the bottom it says add to broadcast?
Yeah.
So you can scroll up as much as you want and reply to people who've been listening.
I'm just loving that people have been so active here.
Bro, amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
So guys, give me a second. I promised Tony dinner and I've completely forgot about it. It's coming right up. Carry on. We got to carry this on, bro. It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. Okay, I'll be 2 seconds.
So just so you guys know, there's like a massive storm outside.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I live in Nordic and in Hout Bay at the moment, so I can't even go over Chapman's Peak because of what's happening outside. But at least I'll have a little bit of pad thai in my stomach to get over. So thanks, Samantha. Yeah, my best friend just had her first baby at 47. Perfect timing. I like it. So yeah, I think tonight has been, I think, the first time in a year that I've managed to come out and just speak. I spoke a lot before in public and online and everything. Just the last year has been a time of retrospection and introspection and just really figuring out where we're going and who we are as a species. And obviously mortality is on all of our minds and our own vulnerabilities. So I'm really actually excited with what's happened and what's coming next, and the acceptance of all of us that we need to dig a bit deeper. We need to spend more time with the people we love. We need to spend more time in nature. I went surfing this morning at Muizenberg, and I've never seen more people on a weekday. That people are out there. We're not in gyms. People are not in the office that much. You look at my friend Gavin Dace who's commenting here, and him and his family have moved up to St. Francis. Matthew Kopinski, good to see you on here as well. You're people making choices to better themselves, to deepen their connection with their natural selves and with nature. It's a beautiful time to be alive. Yes, there are a lot of challenges, and yes, we've all, especially those of us who've been living in false sense of securities, in jobs which maybe provided us with resources, but were not based in any sound sort of groundedness or groundation. Now's the time to reach deep, be creative. Aiden as well, Justin. Beautiful. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. I wish it could be in person. I mean, Art and I were even worried about being so close that some people may judge, but I think it's becoming time again that we reconnect with each other and just reassess what's important. And for me, bringing a son into this world, obviously that's going to be a major change in my life. I've given most of my life to educating many, and now I'm going to be focusing on educating the one who's gonna, I think, educate many. I'm gonna tell a little story. I know the whiskey's probably speaking through me, but
Perfect. Woo!
there we go.
Great success.
So my son's name is going to be Ben, Benn.
Benn. Okay.
So it was my grandmother's surname
Love it.
and my maternal line. And the Benns were a family that, from Neisner, you might have seen a boat called the John Ben in Neisner.
no,
It's a
that's
boat
cool.
that's on the, like a big boat that people go on. And John Ben was a pilot in the Neisner heads.
Yeah.
So when the Neisner was a port, and you had these big boats with no engines trying to get through the Neisner heads, thank you.
Sure.
And they basically had a pilot on the hill who would wave the flags going, go left, go right, the tide's coming in, the
Jeez,
tide's going out, the wind's
That's
the
one of the
right
gnarly
way.
ones I'm worried about.
For over 100 years, the Ben family did that job.
No way.
And in my last mushroom experience,
As a pilot.
he came to me and he said, like, we thought Ben was the name to honor my grandmother because I had a really close relationship with my grandmother and she passed a couple of years ago. And I was the last one of the family to see her alive.
Yeah.
And she waved me off, basically almost held up the flag for me to say, like,
Dude.
I'm going, the tide's going out, I'm on the way. And I got the message that Ben, my son, is coming to teach me how to get over treacherous waters. And like his beautiful next generation of kids that we're seeing who are so switched on, who are so at odds with the kind of schooling that we had. The traditional schooling, the uniform, the hymns, this construct of these traditions, and are just thriving in new ways of being, of homeschooling, of generations or Waldorf or that. They're just saying, like, we want more, we want a deeper connection. We don't want to go through that conformity. And I'm really, even though we're going through a hard time now, I'm really confident that the outcomes, once we're through this trauma and we've dealt with it, with the mass anxiety and that we are going to create a better world. We have the tools. We have the understanding, and nature is showing us the way. Like it's a beautiful thing.
Right, it is. I mean, it's gnarly because it's put a lot of us in our place, and it's that whole strong will survive kind of analogy, and okay, we're getting such cool feedback. So cool, guys! Thank you so much for the love tonight. This has been very powerful and beautiful. I will stand by it. It's one of the favorite interviews I've ever had. I always knew it would be, and I can't wait for you guys to please share this when it gets to all the normal platforms like Spotify and podcast, Apple Podcasts and things like that. So please do share, because it's powerful information. And as South Africans, I have noticed we are so conservative. We're so scared. We can't say the word dacha without it invoking all sorts of fears that we've been brought up to believe were wrong. The fact that we talk about hallucinogens and psilocybin and mushrooms and DMT, are you joking? But guys, these things exist. They're beautiful. They're not
cognitive liberty.
Cognitive
the
liberty.
Freedom to expand our minds.
And to think such a taboo topic, dude. Think about that. But why? It's fucking nuts.
Especially considering we have one of the most psychoactive substances that's produced in our brains.
In our very bodies, in our pineal glands, and in our spines.
We are born to dream, and we are born to expand our consciousness, and that would be limited, and to be told that is taboo.
No,
is a sin. You're like, who is the criminal?
Correct. Well, you got to start thinking that there's some government construct involved in that.
No, of course.
You got to
We're not that easy to control when we're thinking for ourselves. Unfortunately, fortunately.
I'm very fortunate.
And that is one thing that we've also got to be very aware of. We're at a time where we've been told to hand over our power and to conform and wear the mask and take the vaccine and do this and do that. Otherwise, you won't be able to travel, or you won't be able to enter certain buildings. And we have to, be very aware of the agendas. I don't believe this the pandemic was created, but I believe there's part of the responses that are created in the way that they were waiting for something like this.
Oh, absolutely. To take
Waiting
advantage
for
of
something
our
to
fear.
like take a lot of our
Bro.
rights away, and
Bro,
people are
it's
willingly
textbook.
giving it away. And I don't want to
Textbook.
head too far down that road.
No,
but we
you
just,
can. This is your night.
No, we just have to be aware of that. Like
Yeah.
that there are ways that we are almost asking for our rights to be taken away at the moment, and accepting things that we would never accept normally. And yes, I mean, it's the same thing with living in a nanny state where everything is super safe, but we give up a lot of personal freedoms. And us as South Africans, and I know there may be some non-South Africans living in here, but
Yeah.
we come from a pioneering stock where we chose, like, to create a new world and a new space, even as dangerous and dark and crazy as it was. We chose to create this new space over and above the control, of the rest of the world, and that's in our nature. So by accepting control again, by accepting domination, it will really go against our deep nature
Yeah.
of being explorers, being pioneers.
But listen,
being,
we're overcoming a lifetime of being fear dominated.
Yeah.
If you think about it, if we do want to touch on the religious stuff, which Connor actually got some cuck about, which is so weird because we were literally going over the definitions of atheism. I wasn't claiming that I was anything, but you can't believe it was the first time. I actually even emailed him. I was like, "Whoa, Con, thanks for being part of the first controversial podcast that I've had." And it was
controversial.
Controversial, exactly. And it wasn't even controversial. We were literally Googling, going, what does it mean to be agnostic? And then there were a couple of folks who got their feathers ruffled. And so it just shows you where we're at, So we're coming from such a fear-dominated society, especially in particular South Africans. I don't know what is wrong with us. I don't know why we're so scared. I mean, so what I immediately did, and I always check myself, I'm like, did you say something rude? And and I've had a lifetime of having to know if I did something rude or not. And then I listened to fucking Joe Rogan or like any one of the American podcasts, and you hear what they're talking about, and they're talking about stuff that is so cringeworthy. It's so like surface level disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. Joe touched on great topics, and this one I'm a very big fan of his. But if you compare it to Khan and I breaking down what does the word atheism mean, like very gently, and people are like, "Oh, we don't know if we can be associated with it." It's like, what the fuck? Where the fuck? Oh, where are we? These are two rock stars talking about it. If it was two primary school guys talking about it, even still, you're wrong. But it just shows you how backwards you are. If you listen to what the topics that people have spoken about, and we're sitting here actually half as much as we gallant and have some bravery around us, and I believe like the fact that it's still a fucking taboo subject to talk about San Pedro, psilocybin, DMT, it's just another indication of how freaking far behind we are, because we're not, like we've already disclaimed, we understand that it needs to be with guidance. We understand. So we're not saying, please, everyone go out and take DMT before you go driving. Like, fuck, don't, just be normal. Just have...
It's deep responsibility. It's strong medicine. Like this is it. It's like there is a place for recreation, of course. But again, in safe environment, and always first do no harm.
Yeah, of course.
Always just make sure that you're not becoming a drain on someone else, not draining someone else's chi, who's now got to look after you because you're freaking out because you took something in the wrong environment and now you can't keep your shit
together. That's my words. I fucking hate people who can't handle their drugs. Yeah, it's like really, and the fact that it's even labeled drugs to me.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like it's unfair on others if you that person who like can't control it, and yes, people make mistakes, and that's back to, I think it was Samantha who was asking about dosage. Us understanding what the required dosage is for ourselves. But again, unfortunately, a lot of that is about self-exploration because we're all different. Yeah. Some people can drink a case of beers and still stand around the braai, and some people have 3 beers and that's it.
Absolute nightmare.
And it's the same with any substance. It's taking responsibility for yourself, finding your own limits, whether it's with medicine, whether it's with recreational substances, whether like it's responsible adult use.
Yes.
Yeah, and yes, that responsible adult use can still be taking your mind to the outer edges of where it can go,
Yeah.
but it's done in a responsible way and not being a drain on others. Like bringing positivity in, bringing chi in, making sure that as much as you can, your aim is to heal yourself and through that heal the planet and humanity.
Yeah.
That the work is there. You're doing it, even if it is on a dance floor and having fun and everything.
Yeah.
It's
Being a
not
light
there to get
worker.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Like what's
Yeah.
the words of the chili peppers? It's such a waste to be wasted in the first place.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
who wants to waste this amazing life by being wasted,
yeah.
by being
Yeah.
totally goofed the whole time?
No, correct.
We're here to experience, to be alive, to be sensitized. Not to be dumb or numb.
Yeah.
Like why would we want to numb ourselves? And that's again the tragedy of dealing the way we deal with pain, the way we deal with anxiety, with depression often is to numb.
Yeah.
And that takes away what one of the great pleasures of
Yeah.
being alive
Yeah.
is.
It's
What makes us
feel
alive.
and
Feel.
experience it. Yeah.
Like feelings.
Like Johnny Cash, I hurt myself today.
Yeah, to see if I can
See if I can
feel.
feel,
Yeah, like that's it. Feeling is very much part of being alive, and sometimes accepting that it comes in waves. Like there will be times when we feel low, like the yin and the yang. We have to accept that these waves will come through life.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll feel low.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll feel really energized and high, and to then try and get in sync and understand that like it's part of life. You don't judge yourself when you're feeling low, that I am depressed or I am like morbid. It's like now I'm feeling sad, but tomorrow I can feel happy.
Yeah.
Like
I think it's like, for me, it's one of those, like, because I've been through it and I hear exactly what you're saying, and what I want to share with people is that quite often people think they're alone in those thoughts. And what was quite a lovely revelation for me to realize, the same as the everyone being a teacher concept is as well, is to realize at some stage that you were actually on the right path all along. Does it make sense? Like you were fighting, you didn't realize, but actually what you went through, what you experienced, the good and bad you've been through, and all of that was actually just leading towards you. It was actually the right thing all along. It's another concept that people battle to grasp, because they're like, I've lost sense of my purpose, myself, and my this, and the question, the anxiety, and the depression. But actually, everything that you're going through, if you trust, like I had a big challenge, like in January. I've always been that guy who's gone, I don't give a fuck what happens, I'm gonna be fine. And fortunately, even though I've lived month by month my whole life, I have always been. And then I had my first ever challenge of going, holy shit, this is actually very real. And it was the first time I was going, like, even in that, what you believed in your whole life, it's been questioned properly for the first time. You know what? Ultimately, it was completely fine. I was perfectly fine. You know what I mean? But I had that challenge. So I think more than ever before, people have been questioned by then. And that's what you just want to remind people, is like you've actually been,
trust the process.
The process, yeah. You've actually been fine all the time.
It's the same thing with the psychedelic experience. You're like, you've got to surrender at some stage. Resistance
very
is
hard
futile.
for a control freak. Hard for a control freak, dude.
You're like, surrender to the process. You will be okay. What you are seeing, you need to see. Otherwise, you wouldn't be seeing it.
I know, bro. That is so wild. That is so wild.
It's like a lot of the things we're touching on here is so much easier in theory than in practice.
I know.
But once you understand it and once you have the tools, you can like having a map or a compass when you go exploring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why the importance of setting and having a guide with you, a shaman or a sitter or whatever. It allows you to go further because you have someone there who's just got your back. And that's with these psychedelic healing sessions. It's important that you have the therapy to go along with it.
Yeah.
Like some people can do it on their own. I'm definitely appreciate that. But there are many people, especially in the healing space, who need someone there who's just telling them, look, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like this is part of the process.
No, believe me, if I ever do ayahuasca, I'm gonna need a certifiable AAA grade shaman who's actually been to like to Harvard.
But even those, like there's some who are quite hands off, but they're sitting there, they're singing these ancient songs, and you're just hearing these songs while you go through the journey and knowing there's someone here who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, bro.
It's okay.
That would be wild.
Yeah, like there's a professional
it's
in the room.
It's still scary as fuck
Yeah.
for me, don't get me wrong. But Tony,
what are you scared of? Because it's all happening in the background anyway. All your fears are in there.
I know.
They're running in the background, and if you don't look at them or acknowledge them, you're like they just taking draining energy every day. And if you look at them, if you shine a little light on them, you're like
you take the power away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're like, that's the thing. It's like a candle is all you need in the darkness.
Yeah.
And
we shall have this. We shall have another conversation about this after the birth of this beautiful human that's going to come into the world. Mazel tov again. Thanks for fitting me in to this most important time of your life. This is very powerful. You needed to meet David Becker, who I promise I'm going to introduce you to. He's a light source, as of you and everyone who's tuned in tonight. There's a reason that you guys have gravitated into the show. It's for that very reason. So I want to thank my guests. I think it's time. I think we can have some dinner. A little bit. I think it's been what we're on. This is another first in studio guest, and we broke the 3-hour barrier, bro, of talking beautiful stuff. Thank you, and effortlessly, and 2 toilet breaks and Thai food later.
It's such a pleasure, and so good to see so many of my old friends on here as well. Thank you for checking in. Love you all.
Yeah,
and new friends as well. And all I can say is keep it up. I mean, the more we all share with each other what we're going through, and open-hearted and not out of fear and not being scared to show ourselves and share ourselves, the better. This is the time when all of us are looking a little bit deeper, and that's again the beauty of the South African environment. And even though we're insecure, in some worlds we don't know what's happening tomorrow, where the country's going, like that kind of thing. It's that adrenaline also forces us to look a little bit deeper, to have bright, our colors are brighter, our experiences are richer, we are a little bit, like you go to Australia where it's as beautiful, but it's flat. Like people are in a rut, and they just, like we're here, we challenge on a day-to-day basis, and we must never discredit what that challenge brings us. Like as far as
a humanity,
giving us a depth of experience.
For sure, bro.
And you harness that. Like to make sure that we keep feeling alive and challenged, and with that we can create beautiful things.
Dude, well, I want to thank you for what you've done, the pioneer that you've been, the mate that you've been. You've changed a lot of people's lives. I don't think people know. If you're enjoying weed in the safety of your home, there's a couple of people as well, but Tony was one of the founding fathers. And thank you for being on the show, bro. I love and appreciate you, bro.
Good. Thank you so much. Love your music. And I know you're going sailing on a different sea at the moment, but I'm going to call you on. We've got a
No, you're actually in Indonesia, bro. You're in.
As soon as you get that boat to Indo, we're there, and there'll be 3 of us.
The good news is it's about 5 years away. So so likely should be about 5. We should be good.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and thanks everyone for commenting. I look forward to going through these comments in the replay, and keep it positive, keep it green, and influence those around you as much as you can.
100%. Have a good night, everybody. Jeff, say good night. Teddy, say good night. Weirdo. He's always been particularly silent. Tony, love you, boy.
I love you too.
See you soon. Cheers. Everyone. Bye.
Bye.